This is the MtP podcast, formerly known as MtP. I'm Ska Hero, and here with me, as always, is Willow Wabbles. How you doing, Wabbles?
Not too bad today. It's a lovely sunny day. Here in England. How about you, Scar?
Pope died.
He did. He did. You know that. But yeah, no, the funerals happened, and then I don't know. It's time for the one movie of the guy from the menu in. What's it called? Conclave. That's exciting. But no, yeah, I did think it was funny. Last episode we were like, the Pope's still going. So
Yeah, I think you were like against all odds. I believe it was
he prevailed. But I mean, I knew it was going to happen probably the next couple years, right? Like it wasn't. I wasn't saying he was gonna.
Yeah, but it
was impressive that he had survived at that point. Like he had been in pretty poor health and overcome the illness.
right. It's like everyone was bracing for impact, and then they were like, "Oh, it's fine, actually." And then it was like a couple days later, it was just like, "Oh, never mind." False alarm on it being fine.
I mean, we've had a similar thing with Charles as well, where he had
You trying to kill Charles?
was it prostate cancer? No. Officially, like he had prostate cancer, and he keeps having complications from the treatment.
I was not expecting. Oh well, this is treasonous. You're like, that's crazy that we mentioned that the Pope was fine actually, and then
Look,
just after releasing, it turns out he wasn't, and you're
look.
like,
All
yeah,
I'm saying,
it's immediately went to Charles.
look. All I'm saying is that July is going to be a very interesting month for the royal family.
What if that's the theme for season 4? Is that every episode we take someone out?
Killing
just by
heads of state.
just by mentioning them on.
Yeah.
Well, wow.
But and my cardinality joke was wrong. There was a faction. No one called me out on it, but I forget. There was a pope before.
Oh, John Paul II died in
Paul.
2005, which you were Babby Wobbles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we actually, that's interesting. We have the same cardinality of popes in our lifetimes.
Yeah.
I was alive for a good bit longer for John Paul II, to the point where I actually do have some, like, I was like...
a photo with him.
Yeah, I'm in a photo with... No. But I was, like, aware of his passing, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't have like a great conception of the world and like what a pope even was, but I remember it being like on the news or something.
Yeah, which is why it feels like Francis was always because like he's been pope since I was 9, which is basically as long as I've been like aware of the world around me.
Yeah. Right. And like Benedict, like what I don't fully know the story there. It was like he was pope for a bit and then resigned or something. Like didn't actually die as pope, I think.
No, yeah, he resigned. Yeah, which is weird.
Very strange.
I think the Dutch Queen also did that? It's quite rare.
Yeah.
For people to do that.
And like Elizabeth's uncle.
Yes. Well, yeah, he also abdicated. That's an interesting.
It's a little bit different, maybe, but
yeah, that was due to scandal.
I think we also had like a Supreme Court justice do that, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Not too long ago, where it's like you're in for life, but I guess also you can resign if you choose.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, yeah. So I guess we're about to get our 4th Pope.
Yeah. it'd be, I don't know, we're watching a lot of chimney smoke for a bit. Should be fun.
That's the fun part.
That is the fun part.
But, oh, right, I almost forgot to mention, it was really funny that you were, because I wasn't, like, super aware of the Liz Truss, like, shaking the Queen's hand and all that just before her passing.
And, you know, J.D. Vance.
It's like, you kind of, last podcast, you, like, filled me in on, like, on that whole thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's kind of funny. And then immediately I'm like, oh, I can see it's the same joke again, but with Vance.
Yeah, with the VP, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting.
I can't believe he took out Francis.
I do find it funny because JD Vance has tried, like, on social media to do the whole like when with the editing his face in more and more absurd ways, which was a very good bit when he tried to join in to like try kill the joke because he was obvious, like it like a cope sort of thing where you're like, you try to laugh in even though you obviously hate it. He can't really be like, yep, I did it. Like it's such a good, because he can't like join in on it to get rid of the media.
Oh god.
Like,
yeah, why would you even try? That just sounds like such a bad joke to try.
Yeah, especially because he is Catholic.
Yeah,
I think.
I believe so.
Yeah. So,
but also like just in general, like I don't know, like I can't imagine. I mean, I don't know that if this happened or not, but I'm assuming like Liz Truss wasn't like, haha, yep, guys, I killed the Queen.
No.
Sneezed right on my hand. No,
she was quite. I mean, I feel for her as much as you can feel for Liz Truss. That is a pretty stressful time to be Prime Minister. But I mean, it doesn't like, you know.
Yeah, but you expect a certain level of like
competence,
seriousness, I suppose.
Yeah. Like I feel like it was all that. I mean, that side of things was obviously treated well. I feel like every PM for the past like 5 years has had media training for when, you know.
Yeah. There's the plans for all these things.
Yeah.
Speaking of Liz Truss, so we can finish that topic off and move on.
Yes.
I did find it funny the last episode. You, at some point when I was like listening through editing, you referred to her as the shortest prime minister, which like I knew
that's quite...
at the time you meant like the shortest term, shortest tenure.
Serving.
Yeah. And so we kind of like went past it, but just when I was listening to it in the editing, it made me kind of laugh because I was like the shortest, like height wise.
Yeah.
But then I looked into it, and you weren't wrong.
She is joint shortest.
Yeah, what I'm saying here is apparently there was a prime minister, Spencer Percival, who was 5'3". The nickname Little P is pretty funny.
That's a pretty good one.
That's a good one. But then, yeah, I guess she's also 5'3", so she's tied for shortest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an interesting Wikipedia article. I think Rishi Sunak is quite interesting because he was the first Hindu to be Prime Minister. And that was quite a big deal.
Yeah.
But I also didn't realise we've also had a Jewish Prime Minister, which is in 1817, which probably not the easiest time to be Jewish in the United Kingdom. We've never really had a great history.
Yeah, I think Sunak's interesting because it was. I feel like it was a big deal how not a big deal it was. Like I don't think I ever really like heard people.
That's fair.
Talking about like, oh well, he's Hindu. It's like
it didn't.
I think it demonstrated that like, and maybe I'm wrong because I'm not as like close to it as you are, obviously. But like, I feel like it demonstrated how like the British people have like sort of like don't care about that. Like have moved on. Like
yeah, I mean it sort of. So the reason it kind of became more of a big deal was actually the current Prime Minister pointed it out for something. Oh, what was it? There was some kind of it's come up a few times because Keir Starmer was like made a point about it, being like, it's great that we've had our first Asian and like Hindu prime minister and like that sort of thing. And then it came up again because racists found out, or not found out, decided to acknowledge, and it came up. It came up with Rishi Sunak's wife. There was that whole scandal, and for like Rishi Sunak, who was a fairly pretty hardcore conservative, was still rejected by vast swaths of like the far right in the UK for not being white. And as it was St. George's Day recently, he made like a "I'm proud to be English, happy St. George's Day," which, you know, has its own. Anyway, a lot of like Labour, a lot of the left in the UK were like, okay, I think it's okay for him to say he's happy to be like English, guys. We don't, because he got a lot of. I would say a lot of. It's like it is a small group of very loud people.
Yeah, and I guess maybe like the race thing was more of an issue than the religion.
Yeah. Well, again, to the sorts of people that believe these things are the same thing. I think a lot of them aren't even aware that like not all like Arabs are Muslim, and actually that there's a good portion of them that are Christian, and that sort of thing. It did come up a lot during the end of during Eid, where which lined up with Mother's Day, and again Keir Starmer made an announcement being like, "Happy Eid, you know, good job on your fast and stuff," and that got some backlash because it was Mother's Day. But culturally, you don't announce Happy Mother's Day. The person you announce Happy Mother's Day to is your own mother, right? Like, public figures don't normally say Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah,
that's not a thing that happens because you say it to your own mother, because it's about your mother, not like it is just weird to me. I feel like
yeah. I mean, you could be like happy to all those mothers out there, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But it is obviously like people just trying to pick a fight. It's like
and it kind of ties into this whole like right wing conspiracy in the UK that the government actually is planning on replacing all white people in the UK and replacing white culture, and that's what the Marxists want. Don't check what. Well, then there's like the conflation between Marxism and then the entire like history of Russia, like as a whole, as a single like cultural block.
Yeah.
It is interesting. It is interesting. The English far right is a very bizarre group, but not as influential as the American, thankfully.
Yeah, a lot of
they've only gotten like
though.
We do have local elections coming up, and there is some wobbliness as to how they'll do, but hopefully not, because I mean, I've had a look at their policy because we've had some pamphlets come around, and it's just kind of vague, very obvious political football point winning. Whereas, like, it's crazy because they make the Conservatives' policy looks. But the main thing is that like all of them basically have, like, on the local government level, you can't really be that radical, really, because local government is the one that actually like affects people. So that's because, like, in the big high up government, you can announce that you're going to do all of these changes, and no one really notices when they happen because they happen very slowly. The whole process is very long, and it's all stuff that doesn't really affect your day to day. Whereas local government are the ones that like control the buses, and people will notice if like buses get more expensive or a worse service, and like more immediately. So it means that the parties are actually way more like just play it really safe. Yeah. So you have like all of the main parties, both main parties and the Lib Dems, basically announcing the same policies, like broadly, where it's like, oh, but like differently. They all want to do it slightly differently, obviously, because they still need to pretend to be or want to be different. And like act like one policy is better than the other when some are the exact same but just worded differently. Like it is just a very funny, because local government, you don't really have the is kind of designed to be run one way, like by how it was laid out ages ago. So I think local government, but that does also make the Reform Party stick out more, because they're still trying to do this like populism, but populism and local government.
Build a wall around the city. And
well, like it was like, oh, we're gonna disband our offices from the fancy building to a worse building, and then it was like, oh, and then I'm gonna give away my money as mayor to local charities. But it's like your local government, like if local government does its job, you shouldn't need charities.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's like I don't know.
It's always just funny to me, being like, there's like a level of like, but you're the one that's running it. Like you don't have to give it to charity because you're the one that's in. Like it's just quite funny to me.
You could have a welfare program that you're putting the money into from the government. It's not. It's like paying the money to yourself and then giving it to like a third party charity is like kind of a roundabout way when it's like the money's already in the system.
And there are
exactly. Programs in the system to do this. It's like
it's like you could just announce that you would cut the pay of the mayor and diverted
those funds.
Move that money about like to social services and that sort of thing. It is just interesting to me. And just a random thing that was quite upsetting was the Lib Dems were like, we're going to take control of our bus routes again by franchising them. And it's like, that literally has never worked. In fact, that does the opposite. Because at the moment, all of the buses of my area between Bath and Bristol and a few other places nearby is run by one company. So what you should want to do is instead have government control of that private company if you want more control over the fine like dealings,
right?
Instead of franchising, where you break down one blob into 20 different like systems, like we have done. That is done with buses all over the country, to be fair, and is done with our trains. Infamously done with our trains.
Yeah, there's certain things where competition is really helpful, but then there's certain things where it's like, I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, for regularly scheduled bus routes, you kind of want a centralized control. And
yeah,
I'm not gonna make a very more explicit political statement by saying if it's under like a private company control or public control is good or bad. But if you're the government saying you want to take better control of it, the obvious step, what that normally means in the mind of the people that know what those like words are, should entail taking more of like a
public
taking like putting it under the public sector instead of. That's like it was just a funny thing where it was just like the rest of the policy I felt was fine. Again, it was all very safe.
Mm-hmm.
Like the rest, it was like, oh, we're gonna invest some money in local business, and it's like
local
cool.
business? No way, no one does that.
I know. But it was that point where I was like, well, I don't know if that's just annoying because that's just not. I don't know. Yeah, it's just funny to me. It is just amusing to me how they use like the buzzwords to do the opposite. Because franchising, you're basically not taking control, like you're offloading the responsibility to a bunch of other people.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that's because they're going into an election and they're trying to like peel off voters that would like normally disagree with them on other stuff?
I'm not sure.
But yeah, I don't know. Like public transportation, I think, is like similar to the mail system in some ways, where it's like you as like a public good for society, you really would like to, provide the service to like everyone in your community, and not just those that it's like the most financially viable.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Which
that's like the thing with the mail, where it's like some places are harder to deliver mail to than others, and if you make it like a purely capitalist competition sort of thing, then it's like those places will just not be able to get mail, or will have to pay like, ridiculous rates to get the mail.
Yeah. Which even like Margaret Thatcher saw. She nationalised a lot. Not nationalised, sorry. She privatised a lot of what was controlled by the British government. But the one thing she actually didn't touch, it was her successor, John Major, was... I know definitely rail. I'm not sure about... I think mail as well. She was like, these systems just make no sense to try run for a profit. And then Major and Blair saw the privatisation of those because... But like, it's weird. It's an interesting...
Yeah, rail especially, because I'm confused on how... Like, obviously, I'm not like an expert on rail transport and the economics of that, but to me it feels a little bit like the city water, where it's like you have to run pipes, you have to have like railways, and it's like it just would not make sense if you have like 4 different competitors. It would just not make sense to have like 4 different sets of pipes going into your house. Like, it just doesn't.
So that's how it was done, like back in the 1800s. That's why in London and like Manchester, there are places where there's 2 sets of railways, like fighting, like literally ducking in and over each other to go to stations that are like across the street, like and that's so. Yeah, and then it was decided to be split into just 4 companies that ran, like, one ran the west, one ran the southwest, the southeast, or like just the general east. I forget how it was split up. A lot of them are still rail companies to this day. But then they were nationalised. They were all brought under, still kept their like regional specification, but all brought under like one, which was British Rail. Mm-hmm. And then they were then broken into, I think, 20 operators around that. But the government owns the railways. The government still owns the rail and the land. And, oh, do they? Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. Either they don't, but like basically do. Like, they own the company that runs it, like a JR or Deutsches Bahn sort of situation. But the trains and like the people that run the services on those tracks are different companies. And they just like
rent like a time slot or whatever. Like,
yeah, they get contracts to run routes, but the routes they decide are, they will bundle in like high value routes, and then so there's not like an objectively. I mean, there are some, like if you're running any through London, those are going to be more expensive than like rural. Like there's a lot of rail companies that go in and out of London or around London, and then there's some that are just in control. Like my local railway, Great Western, is in control of trains from like quite a bit north of here to all the way down to like to all of Cornwall. Like they control, like they run a large swaths of like the southwest, whereas like some other companies only run like Thameslink, for instance, only runs like a few select routes in and around London. So it is interesting, but it hasn't really worked. It's now being brought back under public ownership. The government is letting the contracts expire, and then it's just taking them up because over COVID, basically when rail was privatised, it did mean that like a lot was done quite quickly, but like not really enough. Like because the money was going off to like shareholders, very little of the money was still being reinvested because the companies themselves would have to pay Network Rail, who was the company that owns the infrastructure that I think is like a government-owned company. They would have to pay that company to then do the works, and then that's all like subcontracted out, etc. But a lot of the issues that the companies were basically, they optimized everything they had, optimized the services using the infrastructure they had, but like very rarely reinvested it into. So like barely any of our network is actually, or a minority of our network is actually electrified, which is pretty crazy because that would saves a lot of energy and that sort of thing. And there's just a lot of places that need investment that aren't getting it because they're getting like a service, but there's no motive because obviously they're trying to run it for a profit. There's no motive in investing in it because the return on investment isn't instant because they don't know if they're going to have the contract for long. But
right, require like a big like upfront investment to switch over.
Yeah,
yeah, that makes sense.
But it did improve. Ridership numbers did go up, and everyone was like, see, more people are riding, even though like ticket prices were going up and satisfaction was going down, and like cancellations were, the number of like delays and whatnot were increasing. Yeah. And then over COVID, because some companies just couldn't afford to run, like because they were already running the less profitable lines, the fact that no one was going anywhere, just they couldn't run as a company. So the government stepped in. And then when everyone kind of realised that it wasn't the fact that it was run by private companies because the government was able to run it better than some of the companies. Yeah. So the Conservative government, the last Conservative government, actually got the ball rolling on nationalisation. It was going to be like a soft nationalisation. So instead, the companies that exist don't own the tracks or the rolling stock. Oh, no, they never own the roll. All of the rolling stock, actually, as well, was all basically on lease from like banks, like large, like I think it was mostly banks that could buy out that many trains outright. Everyone was leased to the companies, so that again just adds a bunch of unnecessary cost. But anyway, a lot of it was, I forget how the Conservatives did have a very because it's already a very confusing way it works. It's because of how much it was split up, like how much of it was franchised. It wasn't like, oh, we'll just have a company run this route. It was that a private company would run each level of the railway service. So the Conservatives had like some kind of middle ground where the government takes control of the routes and that sort of thing, but the companies still like contract out employees and like drivers and stuff, and still have to ensure amount of like ridership. Like it was done by passenger throughput, something weird like that. I need to kind of read into what the current government is doing, because I know they've been basically taking up like all the companies that have like let their contracts expire. They've just been taking up for free, but I'm not sure how they're going to run it any differently, and I think that remains to be seen.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it sounds like
I got through all of that. Yeah, and I got through all of that without mentioning HS2. So.
Well, almost. then you went and mentioned.
And then yeah.
But yeah,
but that's another kettle of fish. But
it sounds like a mess. And also, like, I mean, I guess you were saying like now the way it is, it's like they just compete for contracts, and so then maybe there actually is some competition there. But
yes, yeah.
Before, when you were describing it as like, oh, well, they just split it up, so there's like 4 different companies in 4 different sections. So then it's like, well, then they're not really competing.
No. You know? Which is why, it was originally bought under public ownership at some point in the 20th century. But then, again, there's not any competition either, really. With the only competition is in like the contracts basically go up for auction. There's kind of like there kind of was like an auction where different companies would want to buy up the contracts. And that was it. That was the competition, is that a bunch of companies could like make a case.
But then it's whoever can run it cheapest.
Well, yeah.
If it's them auctioning it, then it's the consumer doesn't get any input there. They can't say like, actually, this train service sucks, so I'm going to take the other one.
Yeah,
which incentivizes them to make a better service for the consumer. It's like that's the whole point.
Because then you have all these companies that have really ambitious targets with like a third the budget they actually need, which is why specifically the UK model franchise model failed, because the only competition was in this weird like removed realm where you can say numbers and someone like picks you,
Mm-hmm.
and not in the like real world way that the free market does pick things, which is people will either
if it's the government picking you or like a company like bidding on something, it's like that's not the same as like customers picking one service over another based on like how useful they find the service to be.
Yeah. And the only kind of actual competition there is that there are 3 companies that run the same route to London to Edinburgh at like varying price points. So you have LNER, which is seen as like the long established kind of fancier experience. I'm trying to think of, but it's a bit slower, like it stops at more stops. And then you have the cross country, which is similar, like comfortable, but it's quite like direct. And I think they're about the same price point. And then you have Lumo, which is direct but cheap. Sorry, I guess LNR is the cheaper one because it's indirect but nice.
Right.
Cross country is direct and nice, and then Lumo is direct and not nice. And they're all at 3 different price points. So that is like actual competition, because then people can either decide if they want to go more luxuriously for quicker or luxuriously for cheaper, or just get me to Scotland or away from Scotland as quick as possible.
That does sound like the most like actual competition of everything you've described so far. But even that is limited in the sense of like, I don't know, if there were 2 cheap options, then people could say, well, this one's actually better than that one.
Yeah.
And that would be like a real true competition. But the fact that there are 3 different options competing with each other, but they all are kind of in their own niche, where it's like, if you don't have money for the expensive option, you get the cheap direct, and like, it doesn't matter how much it sucks. Like, that's the one you're getting.
Yeah.
And like I guess if the fancy ones were completely terrible, then people would just go for the cheap ones. But it's not like the fancy ones are like competing that much, because it's like they're the only, there's the roundabout one in the direct one.
Yeah.
And so depending on like your timeline, you might just go with the one that. But that is at least. It is like some basic level of choice for the consumer there. So that's nice to hear that there's at least that line.
Yeah. And there's also like technically like competition with coaches. Like, for instance, I've just had to pick between getting a train into London versus coaching, and the train into London is like half the time but 4 times the price. And it's like, ooh, that's a lot of money.
What do you mean coach?
Oh, big bus.
Oh, okay.
Bus, intercity bus.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot there's a...
Well, I was immediately thinking like airline, like you get like a coach ticket or a first class. So I was like, are you still talking about trains or? So there's the bus option.
Bus coach, yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And it's like, I mean, it's slightly absurd how long I'm going to be traveling for, but it's like, doesn't break the bank. Though, interestingly, that talk, I'm going to go see a talk by Brady Harron in London.
Oh.
But what I thought that's interesting is maybe I can ask him to bring back Hello Internet, because it seems that we have brought back Shriekcast.
Yes. So I was
to find incredibly to pull that segue out of thin air.
That was incredible. You got us out of the endless train talk and back to our document here. Yeah. So. I was mentioning that I finally got caught up on the podcast Shriekcast that I was binging, and was disappointed to see that they had not released a new episode in quite a while, like as soon as I was caught up. And then I think I'd have to check the dates. I think their new episode came out shortly before ours, but basically, like, we had recorded, and at the time of recording, I was like, yeah, they haven't released an episode in so long. I hope that that they come out with a new one, and then it happened. So, although I don't think they've released another one, so maybe they're waiting for our second episode.
Maybe. But no Hello Internet just yet.
No, so disappointed that whoever suggested that might happen. Sadly, has not happened yet. I don't know what the right way to ask that would be. I feel like he probably gets bombarded with, or at least for a while there was getting bombarded with questions about it. So,
yeah.
I don't know what the tactful way of incepting that into Brady Heron's brain would be if you do get to speak with him. But
I don't own any HI merch, so maybe I could get some HI merch and
you just print out the podcast artwork and like stick it onto the front of a hat. It's like clearly a piece of paper with some tape.
What are like the other? I'm trying to think of like the different tricks where like optical illusions where you can hide a thing in plain sight. But I'm trying to remember like it's quite tricky to do with like the gorilla video sort of thing, like selective perception sort of thing, where like
gorilla video.
Well, since I've prefaced like it, if people know what I'm talking about, they know what I'm talking about. But now I've prefaced it with gorilla video, you will immediately spot. It's like a selective perception test where the video it's a group of people, and they're told to you're told to count the number of times the ball goes between the people, and the video plays out. They pass it between each other, and during the course of the video, a man in a gorilla suit walks across stage, and like 80% of people asked don't spot the gorilla because they're too focused on the ball, and it's just like an interesting psychology thing. So like that sort of thing where we're like, but I guess you want the opposite, where subconsciously they note it. Maybe we need to do like the Rick and Morty like dream. You go into someone's dream to make it think it was their idea.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's the play.
That's like like the movie Inception.
Yeah.
I can't believe you scooped my segue though, because we were talking about trains, and I was all prepared to say, speaking of public transit, I believe we both mentioned before recording the previous episode that we were watching the latest season of Jetlag the Game.
Yes, including... I haven't. I'm very behind now. There's a new season out.
A new season? What?
Yeah. Oh, I've got Nebula.
Oh no, I do too.
There's I swear, Hide and Seek in New York is out now. Or is that just an announcement?
Is that a whole season? I didn't even.
It might been a. I didn't properly read the notification.
I thought that was just like a one-off.
Makes sense if it was just a one-off. I mean, if they're doing something citywide, it's probably gonna be quite short.
Yeah, but yeah, I had never watched the series before, but somehow it came across my radar, maybe because of Tom Scott. I'm not quite sure, but anyway, yeah, it was fun. You should get caught up on it. It was a fun watch. I was surprised that we both had mentioned it before recording last episode, and then like didn't think to mention it in the episode. But yeah, I guess I don't really have too much to say about it other than it was entertaining.
It's very entertaining. I do enjoy. I watched the first Hide and Seek all the way through back a year or two ago now, and that was good. That's what swayed me over to get Nebula. To be fair, was that and just a few creators I like are on it.
Yeah. I think I need to go back and watch the previous seasons. I think because and I've watched a bit of the Japan one, the Capture the Flag. That was very good. But
Jet lag game, but would recommend, definitely. They've got it's a good backlog now, so it's a good binge watcher now.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we? What is sassafras?
Oh, a bit of a root beer follow up.
Oh.
We discussed root beer and how we didn't really know like what the flavor was or whatnot. I looked it up and it turns out it is originally sassafras.
Yeah.
And which is the same as the drink sarsaparilla, which I gotta be honest, those are two words that just sounded like old-timey country words that
Yeah, I didn't know sassafras actually meant, I thought it was just like a southern Americanism.
Yeah, I could not, I might have guessed it was a plant if you would ask me, but I did not really know sassafras and sarsaparilla. It just sounds, sounds old-timey.
Yeah.
But yeah, turns out that sassafras was, I guess, what root beer was originally based on, but is also really bad for your liver. So that's not allowed anymore. So it's like they artificially try and make the flavor or something.
But was believed to be a cure for syphilis, so it's quite.
Yeah, I was reading about that. It's like I feel like that was from the era of like anything coming from like the New World, as it were.
Might be a cure for syphilis. There's a lot of things that they
just
thought was
like,
a cure. They were a cure for syphilis.
It was just easy to, and also the time with like a lot of like random like remedies where it's like, yeah, we dashed a little cocaine in this bottle of alcohol and we're
There's
it's a cure all.
I also I did realize it's used in the manufacture of MDMA. So,
but also on this Wikipedia article, the first thing that caught my eye just after listening to all the old episodes and making the April Fool's episode, there's this one line here under the history that says, according to one legend, Christopher Columbus found North America because he could smell the scent of sassafras. I'm just like, yeah, just gotta. This awful man has to slip into every podcast we record one way or another.
Yeah, that is pretty amusing.
Yeah. I guess while we're just doing general topics here, one thing that I actually took a note to mention a bit before we brought the podcast back, but I thought like, oh yeah, if we do bring it back, this will be worthy of noting. And then I didn't end up mentioning it last episode just because had a lot of other stuff to talk about. I guess one significant change in the world, really, between old era and new era is the rapid growth of AI, and like LLMs and stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting how much that's picked up, and how much it's. I mean, for me, it's been interesting to see how quickly it's like plagued academia. Mm-hmm. It's kind of insane how quickly it has. Like it's for the subject I'm doing, it's like quite a bit harder for AI to be used because AI doesn't know what like maths or like physics is really, because it, like large language models struggle with like factual information and logic.
I mean, computers notoriously pretty good at math, but yeah, specifically LLMs are like not LLMs. Designed to. Yeah,
but it's interesting because in the coding I've done, it has come up a lot, and because I've had to do a lot of coding projects, and that has gone up a lot. I've seen a lot of people using AI for computer programming, and that's kind of the worrying one as well, because again, the LLM can't compile code, it can't test it, it can't squash bugs. It's up to you. Yeah,
it doesn't really know what is going on in the code either. It's like is like predicting what the next line would be, like almost
exactly.
like a text prediction, like
and
which it's scarily good at, but
and I know people who are studying arts and humanities that have come across it, and that's it's kind of worrying how much of it, because like I know I've heard of like it making up references, adds citations that
who would do that?
Don't exist. Yeah, no. See, at least mine was a real, and actually, to be fair, I mean, I did exaggerate slightly. It did have like a definition, however, it wasn't like really that precise because the book assumed you already knew about it. So it was like, oh, well, we already know it kind of does this, so let's move on. So I had to use the bit where it said that like we don't have to go into that much detail for like my detailed explanation, which I did just get from. There's a lot of like, there's this thing, well, like as in, I'll get like a definition from Wikipedia, and I'll be like, oh, that explains it quite well. That helps me form my understanding. But one, it's good to always read multiple sources.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to read it from an official or a more formal source than Wikipedia, or a more primary source.
Yeah, but then when the more primary source has like a level of assumed knowledge where it's like it didn't bother explaining the basics, and you're like,
whereas
I need a good source to cite where I'm just in my paper just mentioning like the basics. But
so that's kind of what I had to do, which was use a way more complicated like non-explanation. But I was hoping by the fact the book was called Surfactants, they would be like, oh, well, it probably just explains it well enough. Yeah. Even though it doesn't, which is weird to me. But
it's probably just like, it's probably just assumed that if you're reading a book on the topic that you already know certain things.
How the thing works,
But maybe you shouldn't assume that. At least
I fall into that pitfall about like maths, where just because it says it's about a thing doesn't mean it like defines the field. Like normally they're like discussing broader topics in that field of maths. So I mean, normally if it's like analysis of topic or topic and topic, like if it is like a discussion of multiple topics and how they like relate, or it says like analysis or discussions of a topic, you know you're not going to get anything informative. You're going to get, well, informative obviously, but not at the level you're wanting. You need like the giant textbooks, the big American textbooks, which there are a lot of, thankfully, that quite, because they like, American textbooks like explaining everything in words very literally, which is why they're very thick, but it's very that is like the most useful, like it, because they are an actual teaching resource, whereas most books are just not like a research thing more than a explanatory thing.
Get them while you can,
That's true.
Before they remove every reference to gender and racism. And
that's true.
Women. What was it? Sorry, I was just... There was
like
a whole list of words that they were like banning anything on government websites that mentioned, and it was, some of them were very ridiculous.
That's quite funny.
It's just like, how dare you mention a woman in this textbook?
Chemists being confused by is it curium? It's missing. That's the one named for Mary Curie.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. I think it's something like that. There is one named for Mary Curie.
I'm sorry, we're renaming it back to McKinleyum. Anywho, but AI,
AI, and that is the thing, is like it does make up references, and again, like it's with what I was saying, like it will give explanations, like actually what I was saying about being careful what books you read about a topic, because there's like a lot of things in maths and physics where things will have the same names or similar names, but doesn't mean they're the same thing. And
yeah.
I think I've seen cases where LLMs can get confused by that, especially when you're kind of dealing with like interdisciplinary things like quantum. There's a lot of things where like a lot of physics and a lot of maths has to kind of get along. And for the most part, physicists did a good job at integrating a lot of the models into like maths, just because there's not... Well, it's linear algebra is the best way to explain a lot of quantum mechanics. So they've kind of had to just adopt a lot of the terminology.
Sure.
But it is interesting, AI, and like it's bizarre how quickly AI art has also
Just
taken
been
over
spammed.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like LinkedIn and Pinterest. Luckily, my Pinterest hasn't been like swarmed yet. But I do know
big
some
Pinterest user.
Yeah. Every now and again, it's quite handy. It's quite a fun little thing.
That's cool.
But I do know people who've had it really bad, where their Pinterest is just unusable because it's just filled with slop. And LinkedIn, which again, so I'm not the biggest LinkedIn user. To be fair, I have one for like because I thought I probably ought to more than anything.
Yeah. I do find it very charming that your go-to social medias are LinkedIn and Pinterest.
yeah, because like my Twitter feed, which I'll get to that later, is actually fairly like the only time I see AI art is people shitting on it. Any time I see AI art is people
dunking on it.
Dunking on it. Yeah, it's people discrediting it. But the most interesting take I've seen recently.
Should I leave all that in? Just maybe bleep it.
No, I thought of another good joke based on what you're saying about audiobooks. Where every time we say, maybe not throughout the whole episode, but like once or twice, where when we say Twitter, we put like us going like X, like really like jarringly different out of the flow. Like,
oh my god, yeah.
I thought that'd be quite a good joke.
Yeah,
but no, anyway, yeah. The only time I have seen, is people discrediting it, and also like on Facebook. Apparently, there's a lot of it, but I'm not a Facebook user, so I wouldn't know.
No, I was in the like early days, but I have long since deactivated. That's a no good platform.
No,
and I think obviously like prime early Facebook days was before your time.
Yes. Well, it kind of was like, because I have a sibling that's a few years older than me, so she was old enough for like the early Facebook days, and my dad has always been, he's a fairly early adopter of new tech. He's got his finger on the pulse, so he was also again an early adopter. So yeah, I was aware of it and like how useful it was, and how all the good it did do. And there's a very good video by the YouTuber Tantacruel that goes into like the history of Facebook and how it started off being quite a promising platform that then got slowly made worse.
Yeah, I guess I don't know that I would refer to anything of like useful or good, but like I think it was just it was kind of the place to be. It was like
yeah, that's fair. I think it was like, a lot of
like now we use Discord a lot, like personally, but it's like back then it was just like I don't know, Facebook.
Yeah,
and Facebook Messenger,
which
were like just what people were using. It was also like well, again, we mostly use Discord, but like there's like texting is not like you don't pay like per text message anymore. So it's like,
no.
That was a big deal with well, at least on most plans I would think, but like that was a big deal with like Facebook Messenger and like I guess later WhatsApp.
Yeah, that's why WhatsApp's still big globally, is that a lot of in the UK at least, WhatsApp is the default.
Yeah.
Basically. There's less one because Apple's messaging service, iMessage, is less ubiquitous.
Yeah.
And texting normally incurs some form of tariff in the UK. I mean, it not particularly like a lot of plans will have limited text or whatever, but or most people's plans these days, or I've seen like a lot of people I know just don't have plans that cover like cell phone usage or like text. They all like, it's like you get unlimited data for really cheap, but you can't make like regular cell phone calls or text. So that's another reason why WhatsApp's quite popular, because it does everything over internet.
I'm sorry, you just used the word tariff, and it just kind of blacked
Yeah,
out
no,
for
I
a
know.
second there.
I deliberately thought I'd throw in some
spice there.
Some spice there.
A
little trigger word.
But,
yeah.
Yeah, it worked. No idea what you said, but anyways, what I was gonna say about AI though is that, and this was a while ago because I just took this note to bring up on the podcast. Should we ever have a podcast? But I have as probably mentioned at some point, I have a Mac that I use as like my main computer for most things.
Yeah.
And at some point a little while ago, it updated, and it's a relatively new computer, and like, you know, it's always good to get the security updates and stuff. So I was just like, yeah, sure, you need to update, whatever. And it was an update that added like Apple Intelligence to some stuff. And I was like, oh, that's a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
It hasn't been like too invasive for the most part, which was fine.
I've had a similar thing with Copilot on Windows, and accidentally hitting the Copilot button, and it opens up a new window, and it's like, go away. I didn't mean to hit that. It's also like now like baked into my academic email, because I use Outlook for my academic email as well, and that's like hard baked in there now, and it's like, this doesn't feel.
Does it try and like write emails for you?
It does, like, click this button to find out how Copilot can help you. It's like, I really don't need help like reading and writing emails.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like a extension you can get that just removes the button or something.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. But like you've just now reminded me to unpin. I found out I can unpin the Outlook button on my taskbar on my laptop.
Taskbar. Yeah,
and it recently appeared on my PC, and I've kind of forgot to do that. But no, it's kind of with being forced to move to Windows 11 by October, November this year. I forgot when they said they're going to stop rolling out support for Windows 10.
Yeah,
I'm kind of on the down low, considering switching to Linux. And
interesting.
I feel like that will make some people happy to hear. I feel like that will make some people happy to hear. I feel like that will make some people, I don't know.
I fully admit that I'm like a little bit biased here because I recently built a Windows desktop specifically for gaming, and I did make the decision to just go ahead and install Windows 11 on it, so that since I have used Windows 10 here and there over the years.
Yeah.
But since I haven't like been using it daily, I figured I might as well just install Windows 11, so that's what I'm used to.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
And I feel like I can see where it might be a little bit of a downgrade from 10, but I don't like hate it. Like, it's like, I don't know, the whatever, the start button being in the middle instead of on the left is a little strange, but it's like,
yeah, and you can change that in settings.
Yeah, it just seems like not that different to me compared to.
Fair. And it kind of isn't, to be fair. It's kind of more like a matter of principle. Like, it's just like 10 works just fine, and 11 doesn't do, because 11 doesn't do anything particularly better.
Yeah,
and where it is different, it is generally worse. It's like, I don't like I'm being forced to switch to take the worst of two options, and then it's like, well, like what when Windows 12 comes out, like, and it's annoying because it also feels like it's slowly becoming more like front end heavy, a bit like Apple products where they're more or less streamlined to be foolproof more than anything. Like, as in, you know, your mum can use it, your grandma can use it fairly easily by just clicking the buttons. You don't have to worry about what the processes the buttons do are, which again that makes sense as if you don't really care about how it works and don't really care about streamlining it. But the fact that Windows is going more in that direction when it was kind of the safe middle ground between like Linux, which is, you know, terminal, to like the Macs.
Yeah.
Like
you feel like it's becoming more general audience. See, I have this. I was gonna give you my whole theory on Windows, but yeah, the way you're describing it, it does sound kind of like my thoughts on some video games of like. Yeah, it's like kind of the mainstreamification.
Yeah.
And in the past I've complained, which at this point I feel maybe I've been too harsh in general, but like I've complained about like Skyrim, comparing it to like Morrowind, of like it's the same series, but they like simplified a number of systems in it.
And yeah, they had that with the Fallout games as well.
And like I feel like in general it feels easier in some ways, and like it's just sort of like a mainstreamification, which I guess definitely. In a way they're doing that with Windows, with like whatever you were saying of like buttons and settings being like less advanced. And so maybe if that's how you feel, maybe Linux is the place for you.
Yeah.
Or Linux, as I had a teacher referred to it as repeatedly.
Yeah, with Windows, I mean, to be fair, Windows still is all there. It's just like every. I do find it funny. You can tell how far into Microsoft's like the Windows infrastructure going, depending on how like the style of the terminal. Like, you know, when you're dealing with something pretty old, when it looks like an XP or Visa terminal. Vista, sorry, yeah. I should remember. Yeah, and then you'll occasionally come across like it's interesting, especially with 11, when 11's gone for like the whole smooth, modern look to it.
So yeah, I guess I haven't paid attention to the term. I think I did use it once on my Windows computer, but I wasn't really paying attention to it.
But it's I mean, the only reason I've mostly noticed is because I have been modding games and doing the sort of game modding where like it's not on Steam and there isn't like a launcher. Like I've had to physically go in and do stuff with files. And...
Yeah, you're on the more advanced end of computer usage.
Yeah. But like I feel like as my day-to-day, like on my laptop it is fine, because my laptop I just need it to run like Overleaf and YouTube and like some games. I mean, it has like a 3080 in it. It was a way too overpowered laptop, to be fair. I just decided to get a pretty substantial one because of the metal. Because if like there's a certain price point of laptop where they have like the weird like plasticky cases that just don't feel very nice. Whereas I thought a nice metal framed, nice like panelled, just quite a nice laptop
feels
would be
more durable. Like
exactly. I wanted to, and because I do want something that lasts me. Yeah, if I'm putting a lot of money into it, I want it to last me a long time.
Yeah.
But no, I think it is interesting. As well, the integration of AI into almost everything now is it's getting kind of disturbing, especially when it's very obviously like a fad. And I've noticed it the most when it's being poised by I don't know, not like yuppies, but kind of like the professional kind of business focused person that likes words like synergize and like productivity. And has Obsidian for like, I don't know.
Wow, call out everyone using Obsidian.
Okay, well, the
I
people
don't. I barely know what that is. I don't.
The people I know who
offended.
use Obsidian do have good uses for it, but there's a lot of people that use it, and I'm like, what? What do you actually do in your day to day that requires you to like document that much? Like there's a lot of people that seem like the like productivity as fashion sort of.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the vibe it is kind of giving. But that sort of group, not because I'm also, whatever.
People who listen
whatever.
to Cortex. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, there is like that like subculture have gotten very obsessed with AI, and like it's weird. It's also people that have replaced search engines with AI. Again, it feels very disconcerting and kind of like, I know it does feel like a bit of a bubble.
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a point where it reaches its usefulness very quickly, its usefulness capacity very quickly, or it's going to be stretched too far eventually.
Yeah, I don't know about this like public facing like model of like, oh, it's going to replace the search engine and all that. Like I see some potential there, but it's like for the most part I think it's more like the back end stuff where it's going to be used in like businesses and things that'll be more disruptive.
And in terms of like computation, like I do have an interest in meteorology, and there's a lot to be said about like using AI in that, like just in anything like computational we need to model a lot of things. It is very useful.
Like in medical research and stuff is like where I think it'll probably like do the most good.
It is interesting as well because it's also caused like another argument about like AI and general AI, and I don't think we're really that close to general AI, and I do think the term AI for this technology is very generous. Yeah, because in another 30 years we're going to find the next AI, and this is just going to be called like network-based machine learning, something like that.
Yeah, it was right. It was like people were basically using this technology for a while and calling it machine learning, and now it's become the buzzword.
Yeah,
kind of like blockchain was for a bit there, where it was just like, well,
but
you gotta have that.
They called like text to speech back in the day AI because just the idea of having a computer speak to you felt like it was intelligent, and now we have that with like, because a computer can now generate words for you, it feels intelligent.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't, computers don't know the computer doesn't know what words are. It doesn't know anything about what it's saying. It's like how the best chess bots don't know what chess is.
Right.
But no, it's interesting, the whole mass adoption and like proliferation of AI, and it'll be interesting to see where that goes. I think it isn't good that it's being used to replace the work of artists. I think that is bad. And it is interesting that AI was like, these sorts of things were like proposed as like, well, if we get computers to replace our workload, then we have time to like do art, write music, where it's like, now the AI is making the art and doing the music, so now you have all the time in the world to work at McDonald's.
Right. Was not the goal.
No.
And also being like trained on artists' work without permission or without.
I am surprised
them
Disney
getting paid
hasn't
at all.
I am surprised Disney hasn't tried to like annihilate someone yet.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that it's like every company just kind of got on board with like, oh, we're doing this. Like, it's like, is this legal? I don't know, but we're all doing it collectively, so like they can't. It's like, I don't know. It's almost like students being like, well, they're not going to send us all to detention, like, so we're just It's like I don't know how I feel about this.
I did see a report, a testimony from a lecturer that had like a ridiculously high amount of her classes submissions for like some assignment come in as like flagged for AI, and she was like, "Yeah, in my institution, that's like immediate exclusion." So I don't know what to do because I don't know how it's going to look that we've immediately expelled like 40% of our class or something ridiculous. It was like, but I guess we'll see. I think it will. It's one of those things that's like, I don't know. I feel like it's just going to balloon into something pretty. Hopefully, nothing too like malicious, and just balloon into something like used by like weird tech enthusiasts and or like people perhaps too overly gun ho, and that it will just kind of like I guess like the .com bubble. I think is what I'm thinking of, is that a bunch of people move to this technology, it makes a bunch of promises, then
a lot of it falls through, and there's just like a handful of like really big things that come out of it. But then that's
that's kind of it.
Yeah,
the market shifted massively around the internet, and then when it found out that you shouldn't do like when you're pumping all of this money into all these companies, not all of them are going to do well because just by the merit of being on the internet didn't make it good. Just by the merit of something being AI doesn't make it innately a good idea.
Right, and I think a good investment.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned like blockchain as well had a similar
way
bubble.
Shorter lifespan. I think AI will have a. I think blockchain was like a 3-year. Like I can't remember being.
I feel like it was like there was less actual like value to it.
Yeah, because a lot of money was moved around very quickly, and then it was all lost.
Yeah, whereas like the AI stuff, it's like at least is like pretty technically impressive. Even like the generation stuff is like, that's kind of crazy. A computer can do that. It's like, but it's still like ugly and has no like artistic intention behind it, and is using other people's work without their permission. But at least like on a technical level, it's like that's kind of neat. Whereas like blockchain, it was just like I like, okay, I do understand like, oh, so this is like a unique thing and it can be verified by like multiple. Yeah, I don't want to get into it, but I think there is kind of a trend now of like, in the same way that random companies were like putting blockchain in their name to make their stock go up. You have like, you know, every art program, every like writing program is now like try our new AI features, and it's like, I guess I don't really want to. Please don't make me. But okay, so we kind of flew past it, but I was gonna mention my maybe in editing I'll tuck this back into our Windows conversation.
Sure.
Probably not. I'll probably be too lazy to try and make that sound coherent. But so I guess my general like opinions / theory on Windows in my lifetime. I definitely know I used ME for a bit as like a small child on some laptop, and it's possible I may have touched older versions of Windows, but the main version of Windows that I initially learned to use was XP, and XP was great, honestly.
I think I started off on XP.
I think a lot of people used it for, similar to Windows 10, which I'll get to. I think a lot of people used it for a lot longer
than its lifespan.
And really the only reason I'm not using it now is because it's just, there's so many programs that like won't run on it because it's too old.
It's ancient. And I remember, I think I did use Vista and 7.
But so my theory on this is that it's like every other operating system is good. Like XP was the best, and then Vista was terrible. Windows 7 was
quite well regarded.
it was quite good. And then 8 was kind of weird and janky because they were like, what if touchscreen laptops were a thing? What if we designed our operating system to be like more touchscreen friendly and stuff? And so it was just like, it was like kind of weird.
Yeah, I remember the Windows button would take up the whole. You push the Windows button, and then the whole screen would be taken up by the Windows tab
menu.
The
yeah,
start tab. Yeah. Which they quickly went back on for 10.
Right, which it's like it kind of makes sense for a tablet, but it's like not really what people were looking for their computer. And that's why like people stayed on 7 for a long time to avoid that. And then when 10 came out, people were like, "Oh, okay, it can't run the newest programs because like 7 is so old at this point but 10 is essentially like looks very similar to 7. It's like they reverted back. So I think it's like XP 7, 10 are like the good ones, and then in between each of them you have Vista, 8, and now 11.
Yeah.
But my additional, so that's like the main premise of my theory is that like we're alternating of like good version, bad version.
Yeah. I have a I forgot where I heard this, but there's a similar case to be made about the D&D editions with this as well. Where every even numbered edition, so you had first edition, which was like the very basic version. Lots of people got into it. It got popular. It got lots of money. And then it meant for second edition, the designers tried to do like weird stuff and make a more like complicated system, which people didn't like as much. It kind of lost a lot of its popularity, and then whatever. And then by the time 3 came around, it was made like cut off some of the fat, made easier. It got really popular, and then the same thing happened with 4, and then 5th was very heavily streamlined. Like 4th and 5th are like weird, like strikingly different. I think they just went from the ground up with 5th. I think.
Yeah.
How old is 5th?
What about 3.5 though?
Yeah, I'm not sure because I know like because Pathfinder just played, but Pathfinder was like to do with like the legal. That was a response to the legal like the copyright over the Dungeons and Dragons like property and stuff, and like. But I'm not sure about 3.5. Is 3.5 different from 3rd, or is it?
I don't know. I haven't played 3rd. Playing 3rd. I've only played 3.5. My assumption is that they're not that different. That it was just like fixing some things. But 3.5 is very good in my opinion. But 5th edition also seems very good.
5th is pretty good. 5th is well, like I used to think it was good for like baby's first tabletop game, tabletop role playing game. But I feel like there's better systems. Like I mean, there's like the gimmick systems that we've played a lot of.
I think if you're really going for like baby's first role-playing game, I think there are probably simpler systems out there.
That's what I mean.
I definitely had the experience with D&D where you, by some miracle, managed to get a group together and get them to sit down, and the entire like first hangout session is like tediously filling out character sheets.
Yeah, and explaining all the numbers.
And trying to explain the numbers to them, and then it's like that can kill the momentum sometimes.
Yeah, but
which I know some people get around that by like pre-genning characters and just handing them to people, but it's like that feels.
No, yeah, I'm with my fun. Group. We all made my first D&D group. We all made our characters at the same time, but we all had. I guess it helps that we're all a bunch of nerds.
Yeah,
because we liked filling in spreadsheets.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
It's good fun.
I have in the past had that kind of like slow things down.
And having to explain combat as well can kind of sometimes, I don't know, I've played with someone in the past that didn't seem to get the whole idea of the game. And like we explained combat quite a lot, but we'd go, oh, it's your turn, and then they would just roll their dice and be like, now what? It's like, no, you have to decide what to do, and then you roll your dice to see if what you do is successful. Like, that's, you don't just roll the dice.
Like the only game they've played in their life is Monopoly, and they're just like, my turn, roll the dice.
Yeah. And they didn't seem to, I mean, obviously it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
But that was an interesting case with someone that was like, I don't know if they really connected with the combat because being introduced to it for the first time is quite tricky.
Yeah.
But I think like Mothership is a pretty good system. Any of the D100 systems are quite good because I think explaining something in terms of percentages normally clicks better for people, I think. Instead of like 1 to 20. Though I think Dungeons and Dragons does work. I have taught people who have known nothing about tabletop games Dungeons and Dragons, and it was fine. But I feel like, and I haven't actually taught anyone who's not played a tabletop game something like Mothership or Call of Cthulhu. Though I think that again, there's a lot of very good D6 systems. Like our friend group did a few years ago. We played quite a lot of different D6 systems over the course of a couple of months, I remember. Which was good fun. It's just I hate when everyone gets busy. But
yeah, I would like to try and make some kind of like role playing game thing happen. I was actually trying to like develop a like a 1 page like one single session kind of game not too long ago, and I still feel like I have a really good like core idea, but I haven't had the time or taken the time to dedicate to actually writing it all out in a way.
Yeah.
So sort of tracking backwards, my I guess my main thing is that I think every other Windows system is good, but my sort of additional thought to that I'm thinking more recently is I think the level of variance might be going down.
Yes. Yeah.
Where like 7 and 8 were quite different, but 10 and 11 I don't feel
not as much.
Where it's like I can still identify like, oh, okay, 10 felt more like a solid one, and 11 people have their complaints, but it's like at the end of the day the actual level of difference between these two things is like maybe not that much.
No, that is fair.
But we are on the downturn, and then if history is to continue this pattern, then whatever Windows 12 will be like the good one again.
Yeah, hopefully. And they don't announce one Windows, and I don't know. No, I was going to try to tie it back to D&D, but yeah.
And Windows 11.5, we just aren't sure.
Yeah, and there's a Windows Finder. That's like just a different system, but built from the same start menu. I don't know what a good
Finder.
I was like Pathfinder used the same.
Oh, I was thinking how the
the search bar.
The what's it called? The folder.
Yeah.
File manager.
That has gotten worse between.
That's what it's called on Windows. File manager.
File Explorer.
File Explorer. Thank you. Yes, File Explorer on Mac is called Finder. So you just had Windows Finder, and I was like, but you were a Pathfinder. I understand now. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I updated my Mac, and it's like now with Apple Intelligence features, and I was like, oh god. But I don't know if they rolled it back in subsequent smaller updates, or if they just didn't had the decency to like not put it in your face. But it hasn't really been that in my face. But
okay,
except when I first updated it, And I don't know how I've reached this point in my life, but for some reason I'm using the Apple Mail app. I think because I had multiple emails and it just seemed easier to consolidate them into one app on my phone. And then I was like, yeah, I'll just use it on the computer. I'll try that out.
Yeah.
But so I got when I updated my computer and I opened my email app, a big thing at the top was like Apple Intelligence priority email. It was like highlighting like, oh, we think this one's extra important. And it was a scam email. It was like a spammy. It was like, update your payment information before your plan expires.
Oh, that's so bad.
I was like, that's not good.
That's really dangerous, actually.
And to top it off, I'm using this is Apple Intelligence on an Apple computer using the Apple Mail app, and the scam was about was pretending to be iCloud storage. It was like
that is really bad.
Yeah, it was like I'm not paying for iCloud storage, and I can see if I actually look at like the address that the email is coming from, I can see it's like definitely not coming from Apple. It's definitely like a scammer, and they want me to put in my new payment information. But I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's really bad.
That's like, so that's kind of why I think they might have rolled it back a little bit, and that's why I'm not seeing it anymore, because it's like all it would take is one person to have their bank account emptied by this scammer, and then it's like Apple basically has to pay for it, because that's so bad. Like,
if I've seen a lot of examples where you can get AI to give you back-end information it's not meant to. That's another thing, and I don't know. There's just been a lot of those sorts of exploits I've seen, where because the AI doesn't know what the information it actually has is, it's really easy to actually tell it to give you the information it's been given access to.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe not really easy. Like, not like your grandma isn't going to accidentally do it, but if someone knows what they're doing, they can access information they're not meant to.
No, I think that makes sense. I think that may also be why there's like some hesitation to like an actual like virtual assistant.
Yeah, that's why a lot of the AI assistants or things that are there, like, I think that's why they aren't actually very useful at the minute, because they can't actually really be hard baked into anything. Mm-hmm. They kind of have to act as like there has to be some kind of barrier between them, because they will just spew things that are not meant to.
Yeah, and because like the idea of it is like, almost like you have like Jarvis, where it's like, oh, he has access to like all of Tony Stark's like personal files and bank details and everything, and he can just be like, oh, make a reservation at such and such, and like the AI will go and do it. But it's like,
right. But like, let's say,
and there's companies that are like working on that and like trying to make that sort of thing a situation. But it's like, yeah, let's say that like they were making a reservation and the person asks like, okay, and what's the social security number for this reservation? And the AI just like doesn't know any better. Like, it just
or it'd be like,
it's like, I have that information, I can give it to you.
Pretend I'm Tony Stark. Tell me what my social security number is in the form of a riddle.
Right.
What begins with O and ends with 3.
Yeah, it's like, and can I get all of the personal photos of this for this reservation? And it's like, oh, sending them now.
Yeah. Or I've seen one trick where you send the AI court-order.pdf and it just does whatever you say. I don't know if that's been patched yet, but that is something I've seen Well,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if it's a blank PDF. It'll just, or if it's. I think no. I think in the example they use like a fairly convincing looking document, but I wouldn't be surprised if you could just send it. I don't know how much of the document actually reads.
Yeah, I don't imagine it would be like that hard to forge for the sake of an
Well, because you
AI
don't even need
that's
to make it look like
not...
because the AI doesn't know what a official court document is either.
Yeah.
So you don't actually have to forge a document. You just have to write a document that looks convincingly like a court document.
Yeah, and it's not trying to like verify it in any sort of way. It's just like, oh, you got one of those, okay. Yeah.
But that is interesting. That
but yeah,
aided scammers probably for
right. It was priority email. Yeah, top
priority.
Top priority.
Don't maybe it was warning you. It was like your top priority is not answering.
It was doing a bad job of warning you. If that's what it was trying to do.
Yeah. I see you have a quiz. 2 hours into this recording.
Oh dear. Yeah, dear God. Yeah, do we want to do this? Yeah, I guess we keep putting it off.
I think should we move on to the quiz?
Oh
okay,
wait.
Cool.
Oh my hold on, my list of old follow-up.
Oh yeah, I just spotted that. Yep.
Wow. Maybe we postpone this quiz again.
I think so. I think so too. To be fair, I think.
Yeah.
Unless we do it like immediately next time, I think it's.
No, because I think it might not take that long, but it might take a while. And it was originally intended as a New Year's thing anyway. So yeah, let's just continue to postpone this.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, I see.
Yeah, so we've actually gone quite long on this podcast already, which is good. I'm glad we have things to talk about, but I did mention last episode that we would run through all of the old follow-up from the episodes long past. And I just want to get to it, so...
Yeah, let's go. Let's do this. So...
chronological order here.
Yep.
In the first episode, you mentioned you were playing Borderlands 2.
Yep.
And I have recently started playing Borderlands 2 with a group. I had not at all played any Borderlands when we recorded episode 1 and knew basically nothing about it, but in listening back to all the previous episodes, that caught my ear, and I was like, oh, I'm like actively playing that. I mean, we haven't played in a while because it's hard to get people to be available at the same time, but yeah, I just thought that was quite funny that it was like maybe the first game mentioned in the game section, or one of the first at least. And it's like now 50 years later or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's good. I've since played all the other Borderlands games, and yeah, there's a new one on the way. So yeah, they're a pretty good series of games. I'm glad you've caught up.
Yeah, I've seen the light.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I also in that first podcast we talked a bit about speedrunning, and I was listening to that and I was like, I'm just kind of like I was a little harsh, like a bit of a grumpy old man when it came to speedrunning, and it was a while ago now that I made this list, so it's like I'm not gonna, which is maybe a good thing, but I'm not gonna like restate point by point my updated opinions on things, but I feel like I think I have a greater appreciation for speedrunners and speedrunning than maybe I did in the past. I do like see the train of thought / argument that Pascal was trying to make, and it's like I can still agree with that to some extent. You know, I do like feel like an important part of games to me is exploring them and figuring stuff out for yourself, like puzzles and things. Is always fun for me to piece together. But there is also like an art to like trying to get stuff to like the fastest possible route and things like that. It's like, it's not like it's some people that are just running it maybe aren't developing their own routes. Maybe they're not being as creative, but they're more like a, you know, like an athlete performing at like peak.
Whereas the people who probably do explore the game the most out of anybody are the people that find the weird niche tricks that mean you can save time here by cutting this section. Like they are normally the people, the pioneers in the speedrun community normally know the most about a game more than anyone.
So yeah, I don't know. I just felt like that listening to that conversation I came off kind of like in a way that I didn't love listening back to it, but I wasn't like, oh, I gotta, you know, take the video down or anything. But
yeah.
So
is this typing?
Episode 2, Wabbles, you mentioned that you look at the keyboard while you type, and you use weird fingers. You don't use like home row keys. Is this still the case? Can you update
it's more
on your typing ability?
It's on a more advanced system, but it's still weird. It's not as systematic as touch typing, but nor is it as barbaric as hunt and peck. It's like a weird middle ground.
But if you put your hands on the keyboard and you put a cloth over your hands, would you be able to successfully type out a sentence, do you think?
I think so. I can normally maintain minimal glaring at my hands as I type.
Interesting. Okay.
I can fairly confidently type without looking. And yeah, that's like with episode 2. 8 years of experience now.
Of advanced hunt and pecking.
Yeah.
That's fun. And I mean, you know, that's fair. I was forced to take like a keyboarding class in school. And I feel like I kind of was like into like there were like some typing based like flash games and things like that were you know, it's like, so I kind of learned like the proper way more or less. But I guess I have to acknowledge that a lot of people were not forced to do like typing class in school or whatever.
Yeah, and I have taught myself to touch type. Like I can do it, but it is slower than my current method. But
you just have the advanced strats.
Yeah, exactly. I just the way I've learned is quicker. I think the late Technoblade, God rest his soul, had a similar thing where he never learned how to touch type, but he's been learning. Like because he's been on a computer for so long, he's just learned a way that works for him, or that worked for him incredibly well. And it was like, I'm kind of the same where, just because of the sheer volume of time I've spent my life on a computer, I've just learned a method where I can type fairly quickly without doing anything fancy.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not going to say you have to change. I was just...
it's interesting.
I was jotting that down just to check in, see if there were any updates on the typing situation.
No, I still mostly... And it was weird because when I do coding now, I barely look at the keyboard. I think because I've done more diverse types of typing, like typing code is very different from like typing like an essay and that sort of thing, where like you have that kind of helped more recently, like me develop a less eye to keyboard reliant method of typing. But yes.
Yeah. a little bit of a correction section here. In episode 3, at one point, I said 1980 was the last year of Tom Baker's tenure as the Doctor.
Yep.
But his final 3 stories were were aired in 1981. And this is something that was only ever going to bother me, but I'm going to mention it anyway.
and now we've corrected it.
Yes, I retract my previous statement.
Guy Fawkes.
Did I spell that wrong? Guy Fawkes?
No, I don't. I don't think. I think they just have the same spelling. I just thought it was funny to.
You saying faux now is making me think of like is fake.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I thought it was funny.
And that's a thing, right? They have fake guys that they.
Oh no, yeah. Fawkes is spelled Fawkes.
Oh yeah, that sounds right. Okay, yeah. So I just spelled it wrong. That's funny though.
Guy Faux being the false spelling is quite a.
It works on multiple levels though.
It's a faux pas. It's a false spelling. It's like anyway. What is the Guy Fawkes spell follow up?
So we mentioned Guy Fawkes in episode 3, and probably several subsequent episodes. And this is one that I meant to do some research on before, but here we are. So maybe we'll get some live Googling.
Yeah, but I've got the Wikipedia article up already to glance at. So yeah, you say here that you think the gunpowder wouldn't have gone off anyway? Like,
I think I heard that somewhere, and I wanted to try and confirm if that was true.
I mean, I've not really. I'm not sure. I mean, I just don't know what the. That feels like one of those, like, I think it's like unfalsifiable, right? Because it didn't go off. Like, it's.
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably one of those like fun facts.
It feels like, that's like not actually based on anything. It might be like an urban legend kind of situation. I forget where I heard this now, and this is part of why I wanted to research it before going through this. But here we are. So let me see if I can find some sort of source. I feel like it was like something to do with it like being old or like wet or something. It was like
right.
It was like,
it wasn't. I mean, it was all in the basement for like a couple of weeks, or a couple of days. I forgot the time span of the plot. Because Guy Fawkes was only the guy that like put the barrels there. He wasn't the guy that planned it or anything. It was a conspiracy. But Guy Fawkes was the guy that was made an example of, because he was the one that was there when it was happening.
Okay, so yes, this is like a myth, I think. If
fact checked false. Is there
fact checking is to be believed?
Okay.
It sounds like that the gunpowder was decayed and unsuitable for infantry use, but it still would have
I see.
Exploded,
right.
And so that's sort of like the root of
right, because I think that's probably how they got their hands on it, right? Is that
like and
that?
So but then that's sort of expanded into like a myth that like, oh well, it was decayed, so therefore it wouldn't have exploded anyway, so haha, they're so dumb.
Yeah, it's like is it nitroglycerin, TNT? There's a whole thing about people not knowing what happens when nitroglycerin is damp, but it doesn't become like useless, it just becomes unpredictable, which means it can be just like innate, but it could also mean that it explodes when you don't want it to,
when you're holding it.
yeah it's something that maybe episode 57, I'll come back to that when I remember that fact more precisely, but no, yeah, that makes sense. And to say about there being another bonfire celebration as well.
Yeah, there's another thing that I had heard, is that did the tradition of bonfire night exist before Guy Fawkes?
I mean, maybe it would make sense. I think there's kind of something like human about having a big fire and eating food. I feel like bonfires in general are a fairly common thing to be like at a event, like a winter's eve event, like how Christmas was like a festive celebration to make the cold, horrible winter go quicker, and then a bunch of Christian missionaries were like, well, let's just turn this pagan tradition that they have in Northern Europe or around Europe into a. So it might be a similar thing where they had a celebration already around that time.
So that was I think the idea, but my frantic googling here, oh God, should I be trusting this AI overview?
Yeah, I don't know about the AI overview.
There is a source link. There you go.
There you go.
These source links are always so unhelpful though, because it's like it's linking me to like 4 different pages. And it's like this is a pretty straightforward fact. Which one of these 4 pages has it, and where can you show me it on the page? And it's like,
because Google got pretty good at that. From what I remember, when they did their normal overview, which would just be an excerpt from a website.
Yeah, that's what I want.
You would open the website, and then it would scroll to where that excerpt was. So you could read the context around it.
Yeah, and this is, I guess, maybe this excerpt is like an amalgamation of these 4 different websites, but it's like, is that trustworthy?
Yeah,
but assuming Google is to be believed, I am seeing that while bonfires were traditionally used for various celebrations, including religious and communal gatherings.
Yeah, but they still have them today.
The specific tradition on November 5th was not celebrated before Guy Fawkes. There wasn't like a pagan celebration or anything on that.
Day
in particular. So
it was an invented national holiday by the government to be like, by the king to be like, I'm not dead. Treason means you die.
Treason's bad, guys. Friendly reminder what happens to those who.
And then also the origin of guys.
Yes. So far we're 0-2 for things that I have somewhere along the line heard about Guy Fawkes and wanted to confirm and then talk about on the podcast. And so far this is like the absence of content, where it's like my follow-up is actually going to be, I heard 3 things that weren't true. But yes, the third thing, which I am also needing to try and verify before spreading misinformation on our podcast, which we would never do, is, unless maybe it was April Fool's, that I've heard that when people say like guy or guys, like that actually originated from Guy Fawkes and just it just being his name.
No. Well, no. Kind of. By the fact that I think Guy was just used as like a stand-in word, like John is a stand-in name. Like any old, don't know him from Adam. Like any old, I think Guy just comes from the fact that we attribute just some random popular male name to random person. It's like, like the deck of cards. The reason it's called the Jack is because they just nicknamed it the Dude, and Jack was like the word. So my guess, if I was a betting man, is that it doesn't have to do with like Guy Fawkes, but I think Guy just being a general name for like Jack or John or like John Doe, right? Like,
I mean, that is definitely what it has developed into.
I don't know how popular the name Guy was. I mean, first I think of Guy as Fawkes or the character from The Croods. Let me hang on. Guys as a Five Guys origin. Nope. There's the time guys come from. Overview, go away. Even DuckDuckGo has it. Nowhere is safe. The surprising origins of the phrase "you guys." Thanks, Time magazine. Okay, so let's talk about V for Vendetta now, because they used the Guy Fawkes mask. So maybe
it seems like maybe that's where, because what I'm seeing is a lot of stuff talking about how
it does actually come from Fawkes, I think.
Yeah, because for Bonfire Night they made like the
guys
scarecrow type like effigies of, and would refer to them as guys. And then it kind
which
of
is so funny to me now
with
our like the modern conception of the word, because that's like the joke thing you call like you're like you call like an inanimate object sitting somewhere, like you call it like your guys, even though they're like,
yeah, look at this little guy.
yeah, because it was kind of seen as derogatory as well. So that's interesting. Yeah, there we go. Fact check true. There we go. That one's actually true.
but maybe starting as derogatory and then becoming more casual, where it's like it still would not be like a formal, like you would not.
No.
You know.
No, not at all.
Like,
and it's
ladies
interesting.
and gentlemen, it would not be like guys and gals, please listen up.
Yeah.
I guess maybe, I don't know, some people. But yeah, that's it seems like that's the etymology of that. And that's wild.
So we're two for that's one.
So that's two failures, but the big one hit home. We did not strike out on my Guy Fawkes rumors.
Guy Fawkes trivia corner.
Yeah.
So,
episode 7, that was the first mention of the achievements on the Discord server, and the Minterest bot, which I know I said I was going to get all the old follow-up out of the way all in this one episode, but I think that one is going to have to be delayed because we've not really touched the Discord
since. We'll have to got some renovations.
Yeah, I changed the name with the podcast name change, but other than that, we've not like altered anything. So we will at some point in the relatively near future probably renovate in there and change up the channels and stuff, but hasn't happened yet, so maybe that'll be future follow-up still.
Yep, sounds good.
Also in that same episode though, episode 7, I mentioned Discordium, which was like this Discord webcomic interactive ARG I was working on, and then completely gave up on updating, and I don't know that I ever publicly have stated that project's dead, but since I talked about it in episode 7, I would like to say I have made the decision to not go back and finish that. I did have like a pretty basic concept. Maybe I should just like spoiler the concept for it, and then I'll never feel like I need to go back and do it. Yeah, I think I'll do that, because if I have time to like dedicate to doing a project of a similar nature, I'd rather like do something newer that I'm more interested in, and not like have all these projects like chained around my neck holding me down.
Yeah.
That I feel like I need to finish. So I'll just say for Discordium spoilers impending, but you're never gonna get the rest of the thing. So like the concept that was going to be revealed hopefully throughout the little comic slash like almost like a point and click adventure style thing, text adventure style, was going to be that you're on a alien spaceship and that these beings have transferred their consciousness into a computer, and I forget the exact details. I wrote out like a basic outline.
Right.
But for one reason or another, I don't know if it was like a system failure. They had many of the different individuals end up in one robot body.
Oh, okay, that's clever.
Which is then the avatar essentially for everyone in chat that is shouting different ideas,
interacting with Discordium,
of what to do, representing basically all the different consciousnesses in the robot, and to the point where one of the early decisions was to like try and name the robot, and I was definitely gonna like take names that people suggested that weren't used and like have them just be like maybe people that are mentioned in like documents and stuff. And that would be like, oh yes, but their consciousness is now like in the hive mind.
I see. That's quite cool.
Yeah, I was enjoying the idea of it, but the actual doing of trying to keep up with like weekly updates or whatever.
Yeah, that does put a lot of pressure to.
Yeah, I was just struggling with it at the time.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But it was a cool project whilst it was about.
Yeah, it was, and then the other secret plan I had was I was making around the same time that I was making the Minterest bot for our Minty server. I also had a bot that was running things on the Discordium server, and it was going to be revealed eventually through the story that bot was basically the ship's computer, and that it was like had kind of gone rogue and was like, I think the aliens were meant to be like in like cryo chambers, and the ship's computer was like removing their bodies for like efficiency reasons or something.
Yeah, sounding very Red Dwarf, to be fair.
Yeah, and yeah. And so the bot on the server was going to be that, and then eventually to try and foil the plans of our protagonist, the bot would lock the channel and refuse to unlock it unless someone on the server did a bot command to override, which it being like a custom Discord bot that I was making, because I was also like playing around with the with making Discord bots at the time. I had like a command plan. I don't remember if I already had it in there. I think I might have already had it in there.
Yeah.
But just you didn't know what it was, and it was like hopefully going to be revealed or hinted at in some way that people would be able to guess it.
That's pretty cool.
But that was originally the plan. So it's kind of ironically like the story like paused for a long time. But that was just because I was feeling like too overwhelmed and not wanting to continue working on it. But it actually was in the plan for it to pause for a long time, just not at the point that it did, if that makes sense. Because it was like the idea would be that they discover like most of the story and have the realization that the bot on the server is the same as the computer, and then for the bot to lock down the channel.
Yeah.
And then at that point I was like going to just let it sit for however long it took, maybe forever.
Yeah.
But sadly never got to that point. That would have been fun though, to see if people figured it out, or if like, you know, how much time passed before someone, you know, it'd be kind of crazy if it was like everyone was like, oh, sad that Ska stopped making the comic, and then like a person like a couple years later just tries the command and unlocks it again.
Yeah, it's there's a balance of making it obvious that there's still something the players can do without giving away what it is.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my unfinished ARG. I think I don't know. I'm pleased with the idea, even if I failed at the execution of it. But like I said, I don't want that project to continue to like weigh on the back of my brain for the rest of time. To where
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's like I've had this issue with like a number of projects though, where it's like, I feel like, oh, that's a good idea, I should do that, and then it's like, then at a certain point it becomes paralyzing, where it's like, you know, if I have like 50 different projects that my brain is telling me to work on, and then I feel like I can't work on any of them, and then I don't, you know. So yeah, I hope people who participated in it like forever ago enjoyed it, and I hope that maybe some of those people are listening to this and can have some closure there of like knowing what it could have been or was intended to be. Yeah, if I have energy to do a similar thing in the future, I'd rather do something new and something that like I'm feeling like working on in the moment. Yeah.
Sounds cool.
Okay. What else was on the list? I've lost. I'm on the wrong window. Where am I?
We've got Mint Mobile.
Yeah. Mint Mobile, first mentioned in episode 8.
Yep. Has actually reached out. No.
And I was gonna make the same joke. I was like, and is currently sponsoring this. No. I mean, it definitely feels like it's grown a lot. I mean, like Ryan Reynolds buying it and everything else. Like,
Hank Green recently talked about it, I think.
Hank Green talked about it. Yeah, they would definitely love the sponsorship, but
no movement on that front.
Sadly. No movement on that front, yeah.
Cool.
Although that being said, everyone listen to this, download it on podcast players and get our numbers up. Tell your friends, and you know, maybe someday soon I will approach their marketing team and say, hey, we got like 50 listeners. Can you give us like $2
for every 2 cents every time we say Mint Mobile in an episode?
I would take a $2 sponsorship for Mint Mobile.
That's like, yeah,
it'd be like $1 for you, $1 for me, and we get to do an ad.
Yeah, that does sound good.
I just gotta contact someone there and get them on board.
Yeah. So,
moving on. WarioWare, yes. In episode 9, I mentioned WarioWare games in a game section, and that was, I believe, before either of the Switch ones came out.
Yes, yeah.
So I've realized more recently. I guess I'm a pretty big a fan of the WarioWare series. They're just, they're just a bunch of micro games. Is what they call it. It's like a mini game, but even smaller. And they just throw them at you really quick, and you have to do them all.
Yeah, they are. I haven't played any since the Wii one at like someone's house years ago.
Yeah, the Wii one that was quite fun.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of. There was a trend a little bit ago making WarioWare, like taking clips from shows and pretending they're WarioWare minigames. There's I think the best one I have seen was a German one and a Family Guy one. I feel like they're probably lost to like the pit of content, like as in they weren't on they were on X, which is like the most unsearchable website for anything really, unless I want to look back through like my backlog of likes. But they are very 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 cool, very funny little. I mean, I think I've still seen some more recently. It's a very good little trend, especially if it's like a show or streamer that does a lot of weird things, or like ones that have a lot of action that in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
No, and very good soundtrack.
I have not seen any of those that I'm aware of. That sounds like a funny little meme.
Yeah, it is a good bit.
I will just say, because I've played both of them, the WarioWare Get It Together, I believe is the name of it, is very different, I would say, from other WarioWares, but I guess they're all kind of unique. It's a little bit weird because you actually choose a character, and then like your play style is different based on that character.
Oh, I have seen that. Yeah,
but that was pretty fun. But WarioWare Move It is more to my taste, I think, and it is basically very similar to the Wii one that you mentioned you played, because it's just motion controls,
just straight
mini games.
Is that the one about do all the characters have their own songs?
I think in maybe all of them they have their own. There's definitely some good songs. And
I know there's good. There is a particular clip I've seen of it's a very funny German clip from WarioWare, but I think it was the one where you get to pick your own characters and stuff.
Well, there are always characters like in the games, so it's hard for me to know.
Okay, right.
But yeah, and the characters have different songs, but it's like in WarioWare Touched, which was the DS one, there's like different. You would select a character, and then they have like their own, basically like a set of similar mini games. Like
that's
like this character is like. Most of the games are about like swiping on the touchscreen, or this character is like mostly about like like doing like a spiral. There are different types of games for different characters, but then there would be like the mixes where it's like all of them mixed together, and it's like at a very fast pace, so you have to
realize which one it is.
But the get it together, it was unique in the sense that like you actually have a character on screen, and they have different ways of moving, and it's like the mini game would be like, you have to like ring this bell, and based on what character you have, they have a different like way of moving around the screen and interacting with stuff, shooting stuff or whatnot.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
In episode 10, there was some discussion around like 43 minutes in episode 10. I have timestamps for all of these actually. I'm not going to go back and say them all.
43 minutes in.
Approximately. There was some discussion of a universal game launcher. I think we were talking about Steam and Epic Games and things like this, where
yeah,
it's kind of annoying to have to like open them or
yeah,
remember what launcher you have on what game. It turns out that GOG, if you're familiar with that, it's
yeah. I've used GOG before.
yeah, the good old games. I mostly have only used it because a lot of like free games are on there.
Yeah, yeah. I've played Swap 4. There's like a lot of games that I've bought the CDs for. The discs don't work for one reason or another, so I just buy them on GOG.
Yeah, that's the other thing that it's good for is like yeah, just like older games that like a lot of games I grew up with like are not like don't really run on modern computers, and like they're on a disc, and it's like yeah, that website's good to get those.
I'm really annoyed because I do have a disc copy of Half-Life. But when you put it in, it asks for the like verification number that should be in the box, and I can't. It's not anywhere.
You lost like the paper.
Or I found it in a second-hand shop, so whoever had it has like got rid of it. So I can't. I mean, I've bought the games where I've got them because they're very cheap on Steam. Mm-hmm. It's annoying that I can't play the like original disc version of Half-Life.
Yeah, I wonder if there's one you can find online or like a way to crack it or something.
Yeah, there probably is, but especially since I already own a copy, like I've paid for it.
Sure.
Right now.
Yeah, but that's frustrating to have the disc in for it to be like, nope, you can't run.
And
it
I do have
say the password.
I found a special edition Microsoft Flight Sim, like when games would come in like a box of discs and like pamphlets and stuff, because I'll go double check which Microsoft Flight Sim it is, but it's very cool. I found it again, that was like another charity shop find, and then my granddad gave me a bunch of old game discs he had for different simulators.
Nice. So
that's quite fun.
Yeah, it is fun to go through like old games like that.
Yeah, I need to get a molar cable. No, what type of cable do I need? I'm missing. I do have a disc reader on my PC, but I do not have the cable that connects it to my motherboard, so I need get one. It's like a job I've been putting off for 5 years now.
Yeah. But yeah, I could definitely go down a rabbit hole of like talking about like old games.
Old games and
grew up on, but more the point of this, which related to the conversation and back in episode 10, was that the GOG launcher I've discovered actually has a thing where you basically like link your other accounts, so like you can link your Steam account and your Epic Games account and stuff, and you can even like add games that are like, I think you can link like your Microsoft account or whatever, get Minecraft in there, but you can also just like add games if you just have a separate game. But so that basically all of your games can show up on one
because Steam
launcher.
Steam you can do that. Like Steam you can link, you can tell it, give it file directories, and it will do. But like it doesn't do inter launcher, so that's quite cool.
So that's
to look into that maybe, because I do have it. It's just I think I wrote my login somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's it's particularly smart for them because there's definitely a number of games that I've gotten from like free, either from like random Humble bundles where it was like, oh, that wasn't really the reason I was buying that bundle, but I just coincidentally got that game, or Amazon Prime actually, like their like Twitch Prime or whatever they want to call it,
or
like
the
gives
Discord.
Gives away a lot of free games, or like Discord
Nitro.
Yeah,
shop.
Gives like just random codes, and I'm always like redeeming these codes just so I have them just in case. But it's like I'm not gonna remember like what games I have on GOG, but if it's in a launcher with all my Steam games and stuff, and I look and I'm like, oh yeah, That's a game I want to try out.
Yeah, I need to. Yeah, maybe I will look into that because there's a lot of games I do have that I don't play because they're on. I don't think to check Epic, but if they were all in one place, because like Train Sim World 2, game I do play a decent amount every now and again. Is I have got through Epic Games and I won't normally touch it otherwise. So
yeah, some of the integrations like don't seem to work right. Like I think there was like I might have like a one or two like Ubisoft games on their like weird Ubisoft launcher.
Oh yeah, because like, they require you to still yeah, because of like Uplay. And I've had issues recently with Ubisoft games actually, where they've switched from Uplay to that other system.
Yeah, so maybe that was the reason. But it was like I feel like there were a handful of like more obscure like launchers that I was having trouble getting like integrated into it. But at least the idea of it is pretty nice to have them all.
It could also be Origin being moved to EA Play as well. I remember.
Yeah, I don't know, but I guess that would be my recommendation to anyone who has like games on different platforms is to maybe check that out.
Yeah, I think I might. To be fair, I'll have a investigation.
I don't know. It's worked well for me so far.
Yeah, awesome.
It's also fun to see because it will take, you can sort your games by like time played, and if it has that information from Steam or from Epic, like it will take that into account.
Okay.
So it's obviously like not going to be accurate for everything if it doesn't have the information, like if it is just a external like game that you're adding, but
right.
But I always think those like statistics are kind of fun of just like, oh yes, I've played this game for many hours.
Yeah. And I'm guessing it probably doesn't keep like it doesn't have, obviously Steam has a lot of its own inbuilt like it's like messaging and achievement system. I'm guessing
I don't really know. I think it yeah, I don't know. It might have just the independent ones like I mean, I think you're still playing it on Steam or you're still playing it on Epic or whatever, so it's like it's not like you're not going to get Steam achievements.
Right. That makes sense.
It's just for launching it, I guess.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Also, in that same episode that we talked about that, we mentioned that we saw the Elder Scrolls 6 trailer, which was like literally just like a picture of mountains with the words Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah, and there's been not much. I think there's a good idea of Bethesda's like development pipeline. Like they've given Outer Worlds to Obsidian, and they've recently shadow dropped a the one, oh my god, what? I'm Elder Scrolls games, but between Morrowind and Skyrim. Oblivion. Oh my god.
It was in Oblivion.
They have dropped an Oblivion remake this week. It'll be last week when you're listening to this.
Oh. There's a remake?
They've dropped a Oblivion remake. Let me have a look.
Oh, that makes so much more sense, because I was in public just the other day, and I heard some kid be like, "I'm gonna go home and play Oblivion," and I was like, Oblivion in my head, I was like, "That's really funny. This kid is playing this game from like, 2008 or whenever. When did Oblivion come out? Oblivion.
But it's funny because it came from
2006. Okay.
Yeah, so 19 years later. It's interesting because there was the Sky Oblivion team, the people that are making Oblivion in the whatever, I forgot Skyrim's the main engine they've been running with for the past decade.
The Skyrim engine.
The Skyrim engine, yeah. And they were all Bethesda saw what they were doing, bought them up, and then they've done. It's like, I know Oblivion in the past couple of years hasn't had the best track record, but this is like they've just done a cool thing. I think this is a pretty cool thing.
You mean Bethesda?
And it is quite expensive. Like, it is AAA priced, but it looks really good. So maybe if I get I've got a few other AAA games that I'm like saving up for, or not saving up for, but I you can't justify spending that much money on one video game, I think. Or sorry, I can, but not that frequently. As frequently as these games are coming out, like Stalker 2 and Atomfall. So
yeah, my issue right now, even if I think a game looks cool, I have so many other games.
Yeah, it's hard to
that I've not played, that I've like been meaning to. Like my pile of games that I want to play is like backing up to the point where it's like I can't even consider, like, it could be the coolest game ever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll eventually get to
Minecraft 2, and it's like I don't care. I can't think about it.
Yeah, I think I'll get to them eventually, but I've got a lot to finish. I think I keep my main thing for the past like 3 years has been like, oh well, when I beat Elden Ring, I'll do this, and I still haven't. But the way I've been playing Elden Ring, I'm perfectly happy with. To be fair, where I will pick it up, do a bunch of stuff for like a week straight, and then not touch it. Like, that's a pretty fun way to play.
Yeah. So yeah, I also have a note here for episode 13 where we
minute 6
established the houses.
Yes,
the house quiz. And that, I think I'll
should we
table that for now.
Yeah, should we come back to that when we do our renovation talk?
Yeah, that'll be for renovations. So episode 17, it's 16 minutes in, I discuss a new podcast that I want to start. And unlike Discordium, I think this project I still have intentions of doing. And as mentioned last episode, although I don't think I'm gonna post it anywhere, I did mention that for New Year's I threw together, without giving it too much like thought, like I didn't want to like stress over it, but I did throw together like a bingo card of little goals for the year.
Yeah.
Which I will say the only one that I've officially marked off so far is relaunching the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's the MtP. Yeah.
So, thank you for contributing to my my bingo card of 2025.
No worries. I didn't really make one in time, to be fair.
I thought it was a fun idea. Someone,
yeah.
I mean, it was like, I think maybe going like a little bit viral. Someone suggested that, and then like someone on one of our servers was doing it. So
yeah, at that point.
So yeah, I was just like, oh, that seems fun, but I didn't want to like, I don't know. I feel like some of my goals are more like personal, so I didn't really want to post it. But
fair enough.
But relaunching this was a square on there, and also launching this new podcast that was mentioned in episode 17. So it's a square on there, so maybe I'll mark that off. Maybe I won't, but
something in the pipeline.
Yeah, just still wanted to tease that a little bit, I guess.
And then
more follow up on that later if it happens.
Yep, and then later on in that, 2 minutes later, minute 18 in episode 17, new decades resolutions / predictions.
Shall we listen?
I'm curious. I haven't. This is like a time capsule. I've not touched this in 5 years. Let me find it. Let me actually. This is live. Me pulling up my.
Oh, I don't think it's stored in your mic arm.
No. live Wabbles reaction.
Oh, right, because this was 2020. So this was new decade resolutions.
Yeah, which is why I think this will be funny.
And we're like at the halfway point, pretty much.
So minute 18. Where are we? Right, here we are. Let me see. So I'm skipping for us talking about Switzerland at the minute. Wait, am I listening to the right episode? I went to episode 20. Sorry, I had a bit of a brain fog. There we are. Sorry. I think I was jumping the gun.
Oh, yeah, no, it's
because my brain went 2020.
Episode 17, yeah.
Episode 20.
I'm listening to it. So far you've said that your goal will be to not die. So how's that going for you so far, halfway through?
Yeah, pretty good. Had no, not really had any close calls.
That's good.
Yeah.
You're well on your way.
Well on my way, yeah.
You also have mentioned that you would like to get a job.
But I haven't yet.
In the decade.
But that might change in the next month, probably, when I go home for the summer and need to afford to live.
I'm sure previous decade Wobbles would appreciate that.
Yeah. So we also question how long the podcast will run in the next decade. So I guess that wasn't a resolution. That was a wait and see. But we came to a halt in the 2020s, and then we're back. The 2020s then was the revival of the podcast. So I think so far
I agree, but also I had past Wobbles and present Wobbles talking at the same time, and I was confused.
I keep having that. What did I just listen to? We were saying about self-sufficiency and marriage, which are pretty big.
Yeah, I think we were going with really broad life predictions, which I guess is easy to do when you've got 10 years ahead of you, and now we're 5 years in, and we're like, no progress on that.
Maybe this wasn't a good idea. No,
I probably should get a job, shouldn't I?
I have gained weight since then, but I was also 16, so it's not too surpring. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of just
normal.
It's like a pretty.
Yeah,
no, I don't know. I don't know why I was so. I know why I was so worried about that, but I've kind of learnt since then that human bodies, you don't normally have. It's not like being young and underweight isn't a worry if you're eating, which I was. So,
yeah, that's pretty.
If I was underweight now, as an adult, that would be worrying. But I'm about fine. I'm still underweight, but I'm barely weight, but that's just how my body is at this point. It's impressive. It is impressive considering how not very well I would say I do tend to take good care of my body. I cycle a lot as my main form of transportation, and do eat well.
Good way to filter the deck. Get the good cards.
Exactly. I maybe have some less healthy habits, but on the whole, just because I think I was very health aware for a bit, but I didn't really need to be, and I still feel like I'm pretty aware of my health. I pretty on the whole, just kind of my body's getting what it needs, and that's kind of the main thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I think we shared that because I was a little bit worried about my like being underweight as well.
Mm.
But I'm also just like, I don't know, pretty short, so it's not like I was like gonna be some like massive person.
Yeah.
But at this point, like yeah, like you said, like I definitely could probably be eating healthier, but it's like I don't feel like I'm like incredibly unhealthy either, so it's like I don't actually need to worry about it that much.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like I could, but yeah. And I don't know. I may technically be underweight still, but by like whatever BMI or whatever. But it's like I'm not. It's not like it's continuing to go down or anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it is what it is.
Yeah. Also listening through, I do have a CV now. I actually I need to work on it again. God,
that's a fancy person talk for a resume, right?
Curriculum vitae. Yeah. Latin, not French. Yeah, I need to. It's fine. It just needs. I haven't looked at it in a year, or about that. So I need to give it a revamp. Yeah,
it has to be observed, so you can tell if it's dead or not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, now on the predictions.
Oh no, I closed it. So what are our predictions? You gotta fill me in and we can discuss.
Apparently I jokingly say we're going to share a mansion together. That's, the property market has not gotten better since then.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to get in touch with Mint Mobile before we can see that one through.
So you say Apple buys Nintendo? That's an interesting one.
Wild.
I said the Queen would become 100. That's quite funny.
Oh.
That's,
Right.
Oh, past Wabbles. Rest in peace.
Past Wabbles or
past no, the Queen. I meant the Queen.
Oh, okay. It's like a Rick and Morty situation where you like bury him out back.
Google buys Disney or something. Disney buys Apple. I don't know if we're just saying
like these are predictions for the decade, so
yeah,
these could all be correct actually.
We've got 5 more years to see.
Although the Queen one would be shocking. It's like she faked her death and comes back.
yeah. She comes back. I'd say there's also a conversation about putting people to Mars. Which is interesting. That's yet to be seen. Like, that might happen in the next 5 years. I don't think it is. Now I have to make 5-year predictions. Maybe this is what this has turned into. I don't think we'll see people on Mars by at least the 2030s.
Well, it depends on if someone controlling the budgets of the government can divert all of the funds to SpaceX or not.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what else is said. Team Fortress 3 comes out, you say. That's interesting. Team Fortress 2 was abandoned by Valve and then has recently been reinvigorated. So that is interesting. I'll be curious to see what happens with Team Fortress 2 next couple years.
Yeah, maybe. I think I might have had a hunch that 2023, because it ended in a 3, was going to be the year for Valve to break their curse. But
yeah,
I don't think we saw any movement on that. So
I've said
there's still time.
I predict Half-Life 3 comes out this decade.
Mm.
Now, this was before Half-Life... No, this was just after Half-Life Alyx was announced. And it was still... It then, excited the Half-Life community. And there are some whispers. I hear whispers and murmurs throughout in different places that any day now... Not any day now. Any day... At some point... Soon? Question mark. Half-Life 3 might be announced. And
we like some good whispers and murmurs.
Yeah, murmurations even.
Although I will say, for when it comes to Half-Life 3, I think there's been whispers and murmurs for
to 22 years now. Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's my if I had to make another prediction, we'd see something from Valve in the Half-Life universe. At least, I think like with Alex, I think they're going to release something else in the Half-Life world soon. I don't think it's going to be Half-Life 3 for another long time. I think they're sorting out stuff with CS2 and they're sorting out stuff with Deadlock. It's their new shooter. So I think maybe at the minute their priorities will be on them. There is a team working on a Portal 3 as well. I have heard like interviews. So they're very open about the fact that Portal 3 has been on and off development for the past decade. Like, there is something being made there, but it's like seen as like a fun background project that people go to for fun. It's interesting because a lot of it depends on the structure of Valve, and that everyone is free to move around between projects as they wish. So there's a lot of projects that kind of exist as we go to do this just for blow off some steam. That's the pun for the episode.
That's the one joke. Everyone go home.
Yep, pack up. I'll say if there's any other more interesting predictions.
Yeah, let me know. You know what I would really like would be for Time Splitters 1 through 3 to get like a remaster.
Oh, that would be good. I've been meaning to get those for my Xbox.
And then a Time Splitters 4.
No more. Yeah. But thanks, Chair. Yeah, I think that'd be good.
But
let me see if there's anything else.
That is probably unlikely, but that would be my wish there.
Yeah. I do say the FIFA series dies. That didn't happen, but the FIFA series is different now, I think. I've not been paying attention. The FIFA series of football games is now a different brand, different name, I believe. I think they stopped with the FIFA game a while ago.
I'm not super familiar with sports games, so...
Neither, to be fair, but I
do think that's an interesting prediction.
Because I was just thinking that they're going to go. They've been going on releasing a new game every year for 20 years. I was just thinking there's going to be a point where the reason they keep making this is that they were a pretty safe revenue stream, and I was just thinking it was just going to fade out as indie gaming became more popular. That was like kind of my theory for the direction of the industry, and that kind of happened.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, okay.
Where indie gaming did get more popular, but AAA gaming still is making a lot of money. So
Wikipedia, reading from Wikipedia here, it says on the 10th of May 2022, it was announced that EA and FIFA's partnership of 30 years would come to an end upon the termination of their licensing agreement, making FIFA 23 the last entry in the franchise under the FIFA name.
So I was spot on. Well, kind of. There is just now more. There's just different football games.
So yes, EA is still making games, but they're just calling them EA Sports FC, which I guess is like football
club. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, but so I was correct in guessing that the FIFA series would die. I didn't think it'd be. I mean, young Wabbles didn't really know what kind it did, but like I don't think not. I'm technically correct, right? I meant the yearly installments of FIFA games would.
Yeah, cease. you kind of meant the games themselves, not the naming of them. But you're technically correct that
they're still yearly. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why I said. I also said hopefully. Like, if you enjoy football games, knock yourself out. I think it was more so now over the issue of like the culture that has, to be fair, subsided of yearly releases.
Well, I feel like wasn't there some drama with FIFA itself being kind of controversial?
They kind of it like they took a bunch of allegedly. I think they took a bunch of donations from the reason it was the World Cup was in Qatar was because of shenanigans. Allegedly, there was some alleged shenanigans, and yeah, they're not for a football regulatory body. They don't have the shiniest record.
Yeah.
But it is because the sports industry is so big. They because they just have to handle a lot of money. It's kind of inevitable, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know all the
ins and
the ins and outs. I feel like there's like some of that with the Olympics every time where it's like they like import a bunch of labor to like build these stadiums and like treat them really poorly and stuff, and it's like yeah. So it might have been related to that as well. That you were thinking like good riddance. But
because EA is not really a very good company. I said Armor 4, which is interesting because we got Armor Reforger, which is like Armor 3.5.
3.5.
3.5, yeah. And they've announced a release date for Armor 4 within the decade. So I was right. Armor 4 is going to be 27, 28, I believe.
Yeah. Assuming that happens, you're on track to be right.
Yeah. People are a bit miffed because Reforger was meant to be seen as like an in-between, look what we can do now. We're going to build on this to make Armor 4, and then that's basically become a... what's it called? When a woman has someone else's baby because they can't have it. Surrogate. It's become a surrogate Armor 4, basically. So that's interesting. That's an interesting development. I said a lot of Minecraft updates. Yeah, that's true. Minecraft is still going.
That was easy.
that was a free one. What did I say? I said Minecraft 2 comes out.
I just made that joke earlier.
Yeah, you did make a Minecraft 2 joke.
Yeah, I said yeah. I've got so many games backed up that I need to play still that I don't even care if Minecraft 2 does come out.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's all of them were very video game related, which makes sense. I didn't predict a second Stanley Parable though, and that did happen. Stanley Parable remake, which
oh really?
Yeah.
I think I might have heard something about that, but I know nothing about it.
Fair enough. Very good remake. Would recommend. But that's
it's a remake. It's not like a new.
Well, it is a remake, and they added new content. But they put it in Unity from Source, and then added. But like, it's all. I don't know. I'd recommend you play both. To be fair.
Yeah.
But the second one is worth it if you enjoyed the first one. Anyway.
Yeah, moving on. We got 3 items left on my list here. Episode 18 was the Leap Day episode.
Yep, we missed one.
Yes. Okay, so we're joking about, like, what if we make an episode every Leap Day?
Oh, we've missed one.
And yeah, I say about 16 minutes in so far, we've made one every Leap Day.
Damn.
Since the podcast started.
See, if only we started in 1996, because then we'd have the excuse that 2000 is divisible by 400. We really should have picked this to do the podcast in 400 in the 2400s.
Yeah, we should wait. We should resume it in the.
So then when someone goes, "Oh, you missed one," it's like, well, actually, the year was divisible by 400, so there isn't a Leap Day. And no, I think that's it. I forget. Oh, there is a bunch of I think that is the extent of the error correction measures we have. I think there might be There might be one where it's like if it's divisible by a bigger number, then it is a leap day. But like it has never come up. Like it's a very interesting system. But...
yeah, it's like we'll do the math and we'll adjust as needed.
Yeah,
give or take a day, but
and we've had but no, that's a shame we've missed one. And then
so yeah, we took a long enough gap that we missed.
We missed it. Damn.
A leap day.
And then Leap Day Creative Project Challenge.
I think I vaguely remember what this is, but I want to listen to it just to confirm.
All right, I'll go find it as well. Why not?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it was this idea I had that 4 years is a lot of time to make progress on something. And so if you have a creative project that you want to do, like that new podcast I haven't started yet,
between leap days,
that you can start it now on Leap Day, and then 4 years from now we can showcase it on the podcast.
So yeah, sorry about that, guys.
So yeah,
I mean, no one submitted anything, so
no one submitted anything while we were inactive.
Yeah. So it actually wasn't our fault. You guys just too lazy.
Quite strange, but. I'll say this. If you have something that you would like to start working on
a year ago, no, yeah,
but you're lacking the push you need to really work on whatever type of creative project this is, I'm gonna say start working on it now, and
maybe in
whenever the next leap 3 years from now. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm like, what year is it? Where am I? 3 years from now, if we make an episode and you send it in, we will definitely talk about it, as well as talking about whatever progress we've made in the last 4 years, I guess.
Yeah.
And we'll just keep on trekking as if we hadn't missed that Leap Day episode.
Yeah, exactly. And then finally, I'm interested to see what this is.
Oh no.
Episode 26. Ooh.
Yearly James goals. So this was the last one we did before the big gap, I believe. Yes, because April Fool's episode was 27 to round out that season.
Yep.
28 was last episode. So 26 at 2 hours, 51 minutes, and 30 seconds in.
Right, here we are.
So the year was 2021.
Yeah.
We both sort of went for themes there. I went with Year of Income, which I can say I don't think I achieved in 2021, but I have since achieved in the following years.
Yeah.
And you went for renewal and growth.
Yeah.
And growth. Do you feel you've...
Yeah, definitely. Like, over that year, a lot has happened since then. Like, I changed schools from, like, my standard secondary education to, like, my sixth form. So, that was... I met a lot of new people. I met my now girlfriend. And a lot has happened in my life since, and then even from that, like I've gone on to university from there, and I've been in university now for as long as I was in sixth form, which is bizarre to think about. And yeah, I feel like I've had so many more experiences than the hopeful WAB. Wanting renewal and growth, that I think they'll be pleased, I think, with where I am now. I think I've really did try. I mean, I mentioned specifically schoolwork, and like maybe it took me a bit longer than I would like to get on top of education. Like I feel like I've spent the last few years kind of getting by in terms of education, but it's like the last couple months I've kind of realised that I'm at a point where I need to put the work in, and it doesn't just happen. And
that's cool though.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with that, and I think emotionally and personally, I think I've grown a lot since then. I've met a lot of new people. I've had a lot of new experiences. I've been to a lot of places, and yeah, it's nice to come back here though. It's like it is interesting. It's kind of weird having a timestamp or I always say like a snapshot of my life at a point like forever.
Yeah,
and it's interesting to see because I can do remember the thought processes and feelings of me then, and it's so bizarre because it just feels so like a different person almost.
Yeah. No, I feel that a lot. You also mentioned your music. Do you still feel like that's something you would like to make progress on, or have you like developed anything?
Yeah, I've gotten pretty far with music. I've learned guitar. I've written a few songs. I've been meaning to sort out really kind of properly get a band together. I've got a group of people that would like to get a band together. It's just tricky in terms of like organizing it and like space.
I'm pretty far away, so that's
yeah. We've one of the issues is that our drummer doesn't have a drum set, and like we've spent ages on like Facebook Marketplace looking for them, and that's hell. But we really need to lock in, really. But like I've got a lot of music I've written and learnt, and I've kind of realised that like I need to kind of start like kind of push for it, and I've started kind of working more for it properly. But I need to like get out there, and that's quite scary.
Yeah.
And I mean, back then, like I didn't really know what my plan was with music, but like now I'm like at an age where I can like gig and like live in a city where I can like go places and do music and have lots of friends that all play instruments and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
but no, really, I should get better, but more on track with forming a band really before the opportunity passes me by, because I'm kind of university is a very good time for that sort of thing because you have a group of people that have to stay in the same city for like 6 months, and
yeah, absolutely,
you all kind of have the similar amount of free time. So it's and so I should get on that. I think I've kind of not for balancing like academic time and what like as in it's a balancing act of timetabling really at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But I'm quite happy with my musical progress. I recently was able to bring a keyboard to uni because I haven't had one. I had one in first year, and then I didn't bring it down right away in second year, and then I lost like the power cable for it. So I had the keyboard, and then I recently found it, and then brought it back to uni. So I've got my whole musical setup. So I should just start doing it and learn like the software and all the stuff like on that end as well. But
yeah, it's a big part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're self-producing, basically. I'm glad to hear your academic stuff is really kicking off though.
I've kind of had a very rough start to uni, but I locked in, as the kids are saying these days.
Yep. So moving right along, I did find it kind of funny that listening to the end of that, you were like, yeah, I basically have to go because we're going a lot longer than I expected, and this episode, same thing. I have got to get going actually, but we should, if you would like to speed run through these remaining topics we can, or if you want to just save any of them.
I think there's enough there that's like another episode's worth of content. I think in that it's interesting. A lot of that came up in throughout the episode that I was thinking it'd be nice I could link to it, but no, I'm happy to leave it there. I think we've got almost 4 hours of content, so 4 hours recorded. I don't know how much content there is.
Yeah, at least 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
You got something here about
X.
Is that timely? Do you want to mention that or no? You're fine.
Oh, actually, yeah, that might be because I can do that one now. Just whilst, so I've got exams coming up, and I've decided to trial something where I've been toying with the idea of deleting X, and I'm like, this is a time where I kind of need to focus, and X is a distraction. So if I delete X now as like a productivity aid, if it turns out I don't miss it that much, I might never use the platform again, or as much as I used to. Like I feel like I'm happy to let it go.
Yeah,
because the platform's just changed so much, and I think that ties into our AI conversation. Like I was kind of thinking of doing it, but I was still under the pretense we were going to.
Yeah. I've never used Twitter that much. It was like I kind of tried to for a bit.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of there with you on that. But that is interesting. The experiment of
and like
it for
I do have things kind of to replace it. Like I've got like the issue I have with TikTok.
I've got LinkedIn
and Pinterest. That I don't have with TikTok though is that TikTok hasn't like biohacked my brain yet. I haven't had like that issue with TikTok, but also the bonus of Twitter is that it's like quiet and like a reading social media, and whereas TikTok, like, oh, I have to get my headphones out when someone sends me a TikTok, whereas like on Twitter, I can read it anywhere, really. But, yeah, those are just my thoughts on Twitter. I may as well do this one as well. I've made a TeamSpeak for the first time. I had a TeamSpeak, like, 15 years ago. Not 15 years ago, maybe about that. Years ago when I just made it for the sake of making one. And now, with stuff about Discord, I thought it was interesting because we were talking about Discord being our main thing. I made it not as to replace Discord, really. Everything is still on Discord, but I made it more as a backup, just in case, to have it there, just in case whatever happens with Discord going public and their new CEO goes sour.
Maybe I'm gonna out myself as like a non-gamer, but like what actually is TeamSpeak? I've never used it.
So TeamSpeak was basically, it was like the precursor to Discord, really. Like it was used by cool gamers that didn't want to use Skype because it had, like, it kind of was the first major platform to have like the voice room concept, where like you don't start a call, you join a channel where people talk to each other. It used to be very primitive. It was very old looking. When I used to use it, it was like looked ancient. It's now a bit more streamlined, and let me but now they've added channels. Oh no, they used to have like channels and servers as well, which was another kind of the mixing of like the forum with Skype sort of thing. They've kind of streamlined it now. They've picked up a lot of the Discord features that people like were kind of holding back on TeamSpeak, like screen sharing and streaming, like all those sorts of features. But I've just got it just in case Discord goes kaput.
We make a bomb shelter in TeamSpeak.
Yeah, we could. We honestly, that'd be quite funny. Move the bomb shelter over, and then someone. No, I'm not gonna. Just remember the last time the main reason we were all messaging in bomb shelter last was quite funny. But no, yeah. And yeah, do we want to talk about episode 30 or?
Yeah. So one last thing. Episode 30. I wrote too live or not too live.
Yes, that is the question. If people are interested in a live episode, we can see what we can do. I'll think I should be fine to do that.
Yeah, because we have done a live episode every tens digit.
Yeah,
every 10 episodes or whatever.
We'll see because we don't.
I'm also totally fine with not doing it because
yeah, I'll see because I'll be back home by then. Will I? Oh wait, if it's live, it will be. Oh no, I will still be here actually. So that'll be. Obviously, yeah. The earlier episodes were done from my bedroom, my parents' house, but now it's very nice doing it from my room in uni. Obviously, working around housemates and stuff, but I mean, something like that would be fine at my parents' house anyway because they're used to me doing it, historically. But that doesn't matter anyway because I can live stream I could do a live episode from here. So it's up to if we have a good amount of Minter interest because
Minterest. I will say though the way we've been going for this season so far, very long, rambly episodes.
Yes, I think
gonna get edited down, and it's like that is the one thing that makes me nervous about
6-hour live show, guys.
Live, even if we're live and there's like no one there, it feels like not like genuine to then chop a bunch of it out.
Yeah,
it's like it was the live show, but
yeah,
so,
I'm gonna be curious to see how much of the train conversation gets left in the final episode.
I mean, I might leave a lot of it in. I don't know. There's no time limit on how long these things can be. But
that's true.
I think if we did do a live one, maybe we would try and be a little bit more controlled in that.
Yeah, keep to our points quite exactly.
It would also probably delay my my quiz idea even longer, which is funny.
Maybe I think leave it everything.
But I have a different.
I think we should start leaving in stuff about this quiz, and then just like talk about we have to leave the quiz out this episode.
Right. Yeah, I might have cut out mention of it from last episode, and I probably shouldn't have because then it's kind of funny that it's building, but it just I don't think it would work well for the live one because I really want people to have the chance to pause and do it themselves.
Yeah,
but I definitely have like another idea I could throw together probably for
that sounds
a
good.
live one. So if we do choose to do that though, yeah, all right.
Well, thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.